My sister-in-law is 4 months pregnant, and my mom insists she sunbathe her back during the hottest days of summer. She claims that sunbathing the back can expel the yin energy from the body and help conceive a baby boy. I told her that the idea of sunbathing for a boy is utter nonsense. The baby's gender has nothing to do with sunbathing, especially since the temperature here can reach up to 40 degrees Celsius. At best, you risk sunburn and heatstroke. At worst, you could develop heatstroke, which might even lead to a miscarriage. After hearing my advice, my mother dropped the idea of having my sister-in-law sunbathe. Later, my sister-in-law carried the baby to full term and gave birth to my little niece. My sister-in-law blamed it all on me, accusing me, "If you hadn't stopped me from sunbathing my back then, how could I have ended up giving birth to a girl?" When my mother scolded her once again for failing to bear a son, she pushed me down the stairs to my death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my sister-in-law wanted to sunbathe her back. Hey, you, don't just stand there, go help your sister-in-law put on sunscreen. My mother's voice snapped me back to reality. The throbbing pain in my temple from hitting the stairs still felt fresh. The scorching sun and 35-degree heat were telling me I had been reborn in my past life. My mother read online that sunbathing your back could dispel the body's yin energy. If you sunbathe for 8 hours during the hottest part of the dog days, you're guaranteed to conceive a male child. My sister-in-law was reluctant in her heart. It's so hot out there, you could get heatstroke just being outside for a little while, let alone being out in the sun for 8 hours. But my sister-in-law didn't dare defy my mother, so she turned to me with a pleading look. I had no choice but to reason with my mother. The baby's sex is determined at conception. Even 80 hours in the sun won't change whether it's a boy or a girl. Besides, the sun is so intense, and my sister-in-law is pregnant. At best, she could get sunburned or suffer heatstroke. At worst, she could develop heatstroke so severe it might even cause a miscarriage. My attempt to reason with her earned me a slap from my mom, but when she heard me mention the risk of miscarriage, she dropped the idea of making my sister-in-law sunbathe. Later, my sister-in-law carried the baby to full term and gave birth to my little niece. My mother has an extreme preference for sons over daughters. When my sister-in-law was pregnant, she waited on her hand and foot as if she were royalty. Now that a girl has been born, she finds it utterly unacceptable. She even started yelling and pointing fingers at my sister-in-law before she was discharged from the hospital. For some reason, my sister-in-law blamed the whole thing on me. She accused me. "If you hadn't stopped me from sunbathing my back then, how could I have ended up with a baby girl? I think you just don't want me to have a good life. How can a sister-in-law be so malicious?" After scolding me, she cried to my mother, "It's all this girl's fault. If not for her, I definitely could have had a son." My mother resented me for not giving her a grandson. She stood by and did nothing as my sister-in-law pushed me down the stairs, watching me take my last breath. Later, my mother used the insurance payout from my accidental death to buy my sister-in-law a bunch of fertility aids, determined to try for a second child. Lorelei, can you really sun-dry a male heir? My sister-in-law, leaning over the balcony railing, looked to me for help. A smirk curled my lips. If they were so desperate for a son this lifetime, I'd let them chase that dream to their heart's content. Sis, I've never heard of sunbathing for a male baby before. But what Mom says about getting rid of the yin energy by sunbathing does make some sense. I've seen a lot of people online sunbathing their backs during the dog days of summer. Just relax and do it. Mom would never do anything to harm you. Hearing me say that, my mother gave a satisfied smile, but the look of worry on my sister-in-law's face only grew heavier. "Amara, get down and stay put. The sun's at its peak right now. Don't miss it." With that, my mom went back inside from the balcony. But not without a final reminder for me: you stay with your sister-in-law. If she doesn't get enough sun, you're taking her place, you little brat. Then she went inside to enjoy the air conditioning, leaving me out here to suffer. The sun was getting stronger, so I grabbed the sunscreen and slathered it all over myself first. My sister-in-law resigned herself to lying face down, but after waiting for ages, I still hadn't applied any sunscreen to her. She looked up only to find that I had already used up the entire bottle of sunscreen. She shouted in exasperation, "Lorelei, what are you doing? You used it all. What am I supposed to use?" I blinked innocently and said, "Oh, sorry sis-in-law. I just remembered that pregnant women shouldn't use sunscreen casually. It would be terrible if it affected the baby in your belly." Just then, my mom heard the commotion and poked her head out from the air-conditioned room. Upon hearing me say that pregnant women shouldn't use sunscreen, She quickly snatched the empty bottle from my hand. She then proceeded to lecture my sister-in-law. "You're a mother now. How can you be so selfish, only thinking about yourself? In our day, we didn't have things like sunscreen. Just keep on getting some sun." My sister-in-law pouted in frustration, but had no choice but to reluctantly comply. I sat in a shady corner of the room, even without air conditioning. It was far better than being scorched under the sun. Before long, my sister-in-law's back was sunburned a bright red. This is as excruciating as the 10 most brutal tortures of the Qing dynasty. My sister-in-law was getting so sunbaked she wanted to turn over, but I quickly stopped her. "Mom insisted you get a full hour of sun today. You wouldn't want to risk affecting your chances of having a son, would you?" Hearing me say that, my sister-in-law Amara had no choice but to keep lying there in the sun. In a weak voice, she said, "Lorelei, could you get your sister-in-law a glass of water?" Then, I was already thinking the same thing before she even asked. With the sun this strong, it wouldn't be good if someone got dehydrated and passed out. Inside, my mom had thoughtfully prepared 2 bottles of mineral water. I frowned deliberately at the 2 bottles of room-temperature water. "Mom, I might not know about sunbathing for a boy, but I do know you shouldn't drink cold water while sunning your back. If sister-in-law drinks this, it'll definitely ruin the effect." Hearing this, my mom immediately pressed, "Then what should we do?" I went to the kitchen and brought out the kettle. Obviously, she needs to drink hot water. I casually turned off the air conditioner, and we shouldn't have the AC on either. Otherwise sister-in-law will get chilled by the cold air when she comes in. 3. I came out with the hot water. More than 10 minutes had already passed. Amara was in a pitiful state. Her hair was soaked with sweat, matted in clumps against her head. As soon as she saw me come out with the water glass, she snatched it from my hands and took a hasty gulp. But before she could even swallow, she let out a shriek. "It's scalding. Are you insane, Lorelei, bringing water this hot? Are you trying to kill me?" I quickly took the glass back from her hands to prevent a spill. It was such a hassle to boil that water, I couldn't let her spill it. Seeing me like that only made her angrier. She pointed at me and cursed. "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to hurt my unborn child?" "What am I trying to do?" Of course, deep down, I have the heart of a Ling Rong who wishes you dead. But I kept my expression neutral and spoke with feigned hurt. "Sister-in-law, you've misunderstood me. You see, cold water is in nature. If you drink it, it will counteract the treatment from both inside and out. I only have your best interests at heart." Amara shot me a fierce glare. Hearing me say that, she was left with no choice. She could only take small sips from her water glass. Sweat poured from her forehead as if it were free. After just one small cup, her whole body felt drenched, as if she'd been submerged in water. She tried to stand up, but suddenly clutched her head. "Why is my head so dizzy?" I quickly moved to support her. "No wonder you're feeling dizzy, out in the sun that long and then drinking hot water." I helped her inside. "Let's call it a day for now. It wouldn't be any fun if someone got heatstroke on the very first day." In my past life, I always had her best interests at heart, often speaking up for her despite my mother's scolding and beatings. She left me for dead. I'll settle this score with her in my own time. When we came back inside from the sun, my mom tried to get Amara to do those conceive a son exercises again. My mom has a whole arsenal of these old wives' tales for having a baby boy. Amara was completely worn out and once again turned her pleading eyes toward me. I pretended not to see her, yet again, not forgetting to lay on the flattery for my mom. "Mom, your approach is nothing like those old wives' tales other mothers-in-law push. Ours is scientific, with your persistence. Sis-in-Law is sure to give you a healthy, bouncing baby boy." My mother snorted coldly. "Of course, I'm not that kind of wicked mother-in-law." My sister-in-law's eyes grew increasingly desperate. I had no intention of continuing the exercise routine with them. Yawning, I said, "I'm going back to my room for a nap." "Keep at it, sis-in-law." My mother wasn't happy about me going to sleep, but she didn't say anything, just reminded me, "Don't forget to come out and make dinner later." I acknowledged her and went back to my little room. Calling it a room is generous. It was really just a storage space in the attic. I was away at college when my sister-in-law married into the family. The room that was rightfully mine was turned into her walk-in closet. My belongings were tossed into the storage room like trash. After gathering all my important documents, I took a deep breath. In my past life, I was too attached to the warmth of family. I thought Mom just favored my brother a bit. Not that she didn't love me. I always held on to hope for her. That's why, when my parents said they were getting old after I graduated, I came back without a second thought. Even though my family of origin made me timid and insecure, I still love them, but I will never forget lying in a pool of my own blood, my mother's cold, indifferent eyes, and the icy words that came from her mouth. Accepting that my parents do not love me was the first lesson of my rebirth. 4. The kitchen during the dog days of summer is like a steamer. Usually, they're all in the living room, enjoying the air conditioning while waiting for me to cook, but today, for my sister-in-law's sunning of the male fetus, the living room feels just as stifling. My brother Evan sat by the door, an ice cream in his left hand and a fan in his right, weighing over 200 pounds. Every movement was an ordeal for him. "Mom, it's sweltering in here. Can we turn on the AC?" My mom rolled her eyes. "Turn it on, don't you want a son anymore?" My brother could only sigh in response, then got up and fetched another ice cream from the fridge. My sister-in-law looked at my brother, her eyes brimming with disappointment. My brother is a complete mama's boy. In our house, my mother's word is law. No matter what my mother did, my brother would just tell his wife to grin and bear it. Just before the meal, I came out carrying a bowl of soup. Ever since my sister-in-law got pregnant, she's been drinking a bowl of nutritious soup every day. This was something she specifically asked for herself, but today, the sight of that thick layer of grease on top made her throw up instantly. My mother scolded me. "Why on earth did you put so much oil in the soup?" My sister-in-law insisted the soup must contain an old hen, pork ribs, and pig's trotters. Those ingredients naturally release a lot of grease when stewed. Previously, to make it more palatable for my sister-in-law, I would always skim off the fat. I quickly tried to distance myself. "Mom, you've got it all wrong. That oil was already in the soup. The old hen we stewed today is super nourishing, and this oil is the essence of it all." The moment she heard super nourishing, my mom stopped worrying about the oil. After all, she wasn't the one drinking it. As soon as my sister-in-law finished throwing up in the bathroom, she went over with a bowl in hand. "Amara, drink this quickly while it's hot. It'll be good for my precious grandchild." It's steaming hot and greasy. The smell hit my sister-in-law's nose, and she couldn't help but retch again. "Mom, I really can't drink this." "Can't drink what?" "For the sake of my precious grandson, you'll drink it even if you can't." My sister-in-law's lips were deathly pale, and her whole face was etched with exhaustion. I knew she was suffering from heatstroke. My brother kept his head down, completely absorbed in his meal, paying her no mind at all. My father, who was practically invisible at home on a normal day, certainly wasn't going to help her either. Forced to drink a large bowl of hot soup, my sister-in-law immediately saw stars and refused to eat another bite. I considerately helped her sit down on the sofa to rest, but the moment her back touched the cushion, she let out a sharp cry. "Ah, ouch, ouch, ouch." After a few hours, Amara's back was bright red, with some areas already starting to peel. Hearing my sister-in-law's cry, my mother hurried over to see what was wrong. "Oh my God, Evan, go get the burn ointment, quick." I quickly stopped my brother. "Mom, my sister-in-law is pregnant. You can't just put ointment on her without checking." My reminder made my mother realize her mistake. She looked at Amara with an apologetic expression. "Amara, dear, you'll just have to bear with it for now." Amara's face instantly darkened. My brother chimed in, backing up our mom. "Honey, just listen to Mom." 5. Seeing that not a single person spoke up for her, all the grievances Amara had suffered that day finally boiled over. "Enough is enough, Evan. Are you even a man? I'm carrying your child, and you're just going to stand there and let your mother treat me like this?" My brother hung his head, unable to utter a single word for the longest time, but my mother was having none of it. She couldn't stand anyone speaking ill of her precious son. She shielded her 200-pound chick behind her like a mother hen. "Good heavens, who are you calling not a real man? My daughter and I have been waiting on you hand and foot, day and night, and this is how you repay us. Go and see if any other family has a lazy wife like you, and you dare to throw a tantrum. What torture! It's all for the baby in your belly. Let me tell you, if you don't give me a grandson, you'll have to return the 180,000 yuan bride price my family gave you." "Don't be so dramatic. A sunburn isn't going to kill you." The mention of the bride price made Amara turn pale. Amara and my brother met on a social media app. Her family is from the neighboring province, and she has 2 younger brothers. It was agreed before the wedding that the 180,000 yuan bride price would be returned. But after the bride price was transferred to Amara's parents, they did a complete about-face. They just said their daughter was now part of our family, but as for the money, it was gone. From then on, Amara never stood her ground in our house. She just did whatever my mother said. A mother-in-law/daughter-in-law war was about to erupt. My dad had already fled the house the moment the fight broke out. I seized the moment to rush back to my room for my ID, then made my own escape. I can't stay in this house any longer. The way their minds work, they'd probably blame me even for a miscarriage. I bought a ticket for the next high-speed train and fled the city. By the time my mother thought of me, I had already arrived in Shenzhen. On the phone, when she heard I wasn't home, my mother's voice suddenly shot up. Where have you run off to? Who's going to cook for us if you're gone? I rolled my eyes. They really treat me like a nanny. But even though I thought that, I pretended to be distressed on the phone. Mom, I have no choice. My boss suddenly called me in for a business trip. If I don't go, I'll be fired. You know I don't have many skills. If I get fired, my words were coldly cut off by my mother. All right, useless. Finish your business trip and get back here. Hanging up the phone, I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. I was staying at my old college roommate's place and quickly sent out over a dozen resumes online. For the 2 years since graduation, I've had to send $1,000 home every month, but I had secretly saved up a bit of money, enough to tide me over while I looked for a job. I didn't hear from my mom again until the afternoon of the third day. My mom had called me over a dozen times in a row. As soon as I answered, she launched into a tirade, berating me non-stop. Is your phone a brick or what? I'm surprised you even picked up. Get your ass back here. Now, your sister-in-law had a miscarriage. 6. Hearing the word, miscarriage, my eyebrows shot up. That was even faster than I had imagined. I held the phone away from me and shouted into it. What the hell, Mom, my signal's bad. I can't hear you. After hanging up, my mom didn't call me back. Instead, she sent me over 10 consecutive 60-second voice messages. I know 60 seconds is the app's limit, not hers. That evening, my brother called me again. His voice was heavy with worry. Lorelai, where are you? Come home, quick. Your sister-in-law had a miscarriage, and Mom passed out from heatstroke. Dad and we can't handle this alone. What do you mean you can't handle it? Are you two grown men really acting like helpless babies over something this trivial? It's just that they don't want to take care of Amara and Mom themselves. They want me to go back and be their free live-in nurse. The doctor said your sister-in-law has heatstroke, and Mom fainted when she heard the news. Lorelai, you're the only one at home who can look after them. Your father and I haven't eaten all day. I cut him off. Bro, you could hire a professional caregiver for them. They'd do a much better job than I ever could. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, as if he hadn't expected me to say that. In the past, the moment I heard Mom was sick, I would have dropped everything and rushed back, no matter where I was. My brother's voice turned cold. What do you mean by that? Are you saying you don't want to take care of Mom? I laughed. He changed his tune the moment things didn't go his way. Too bad I'm not our mother. I can't spoil him like she spoils her son. Brother, you're Mom's son. It's your responsibility to care for her when she's sick. I haven't taken a single cent from the family all these years. When Mom gave you money, she made it clear that you would be the one to support them in their old age. Furthermore, Amara is your wife. I have even less obligation to take care of her. My brother started acting up on the other end of the line. I don't care. It's your fault my wife had a miscarriage after you told her to sunbathe. If you don't want to come back, then wire me 10,000 yuan. Otherwise, you'll regret it. 10,000 yuan, not a single cent. Mom told your wife to sun her back. If you want money, go ask Mom for it. With that, I hung up the phone without a shred of mercy. I'm curious to see what this overgrown baby can possibly do to get back at me. 7. My brother was absolutely furious that he didn't get any money from me. The spoiled man-child, ignoring his wife and mother who were in the hospital, waddled his overweight self to my former workplace, demanding to cause trouble for me. The young woman at the front desk told him I had left the company long ago, but he refused to believe it. He insisted I was hiding in the office and threatened to trash the place if I didn't come out. He was a big, burly guy, and the young woman at the front desk was no match for him. After smashing a few company computers in a show of force, the receptionist managed to call me in the chaos. Lorelai, your brother is here causing a scene at the office. You need to find a way to get him to leave, fast. The poor girl was on the verge of tears, so I ended up comforting her instead. Mia, don't panic. My brother never listens to a word I say. Calling him is pointless. Just call the police and have them deal with him. Hearing the receptionist on the phone with me, my brother's tone turned even more aggressive, demanding I come out immediately. Someone else in the office called the police. Even through the phone, I could hear my brother screaming like a stuck pig. Later, the receptionist told me my brother spent 2 days in jail and had to pay the company a hefty fine to settle the matter. My brother didn't get the money he came for, so of course he went and tattled to our mom. Sure enough, the moment my brother was out, my mom's call came through. "You wretched thing, you lied to me, all that talk about a business trip, but you'd actually quit your job ages ago, hadn't you? If your brother hadn't gone to your office looking for you, we'd still be in the dark. You get your ass back here right now. The house is a mess, and both your sister-in-law and I are laid up. We can't manage without someone to look after us." The shrill sound of my mother's voice made my eardrums ache. I can't come back. After getting fired from my last job, I had no choice but to look for work here. I just started a new job, and I used all my money for the deposit on an apartment. I'm completely broke, Mom. Could you maybe send me some money first? When my mom realized I couldn't come home to take care of them, that I not only had no money to give her but was actually asking her for money, she completely lost it. "You're not getting a penny. I don't believe you'll never come home. Just wait until you do. You'll see what's coming to you." After huffily delivering that threat, my mother hurriedly hung up the phone. I looked at the black screen of my phone, let out a cold laugh, and casually opened the surveillance app. The first thing I did after realizing I had been reborn was to buy pinhole cameras online and install them in every corner of the house. It was originally just to have evidence to protect myself in a crisis. Now, it's purely for the cathartic pleasure of watching the drama unfold. 8. On the live feed, my mom hung up the phone and was so furious she was lying on the bed, gasping for breath. My dad, ever the master of self-preservation, saw trouble brewing and immediately grabbed a newspaper to hide in the bathroom. My brother was sitting on the couch playing video games, with Amara beside him bundled up like a mummy in the sweltering heat. "Honey, I'm hungry. Could you make me some chicken soup or something?" Amara's weak voice came through the video call. My brother didn't even look up. "Eat, eat, eat. You couldn't even keep a child safe, and you still have the nerve to eat." My mother came out of the room and snapped, "Mom, it wasn't on purpose. If you and Lorelai hadn't insisted I sun my back in the middle of summer, I wouldn't have lost the baby," Amara retorted defiantly, and my mother instantly flew into a rage. "What are you implying? I've been taking care of you with the best intentions, and now you're saying I've made you sick. How come other people are fine sunbathing, but you act like it's the end of the world? It's just that your body is too weak. You cost me my grandson for nothing. I haven't blamed you, and now you're turning around and blaming me." Unable to argue back against my mother, and with my brother refusing to take her side, Amara went back to her room without eating. I had just closed the door and turned on the AC when my mom barged in and shut it off. "Are you trying to kill yourself? If you catch a chill during your confinement and get sick, what if you can't get pregnant again?" After bellowing at Amara with full force, my mom immediately switched to playing the frail and delicate card. "Evan, dear, help your mother up. I'm so upset by your wife that I need to lie down. Just have your father throw something together for dinner. I've lost my appetite." My brother kept playing his game, mumbling in agreement without ever looking up from his phone. My mom waited for a long time, but my brother never got up. In the end, she felt her way along the wall and went back to her room. The two women who could actually get things done were now both bedridden and unable to move. My dad and my brother, those two overgrown babies, were completely useless. They were too cheap to hire a cleaner, yet too paranoid about takeout being unsanitary. After much deliberation, they ended up buying a whole case of instant noodles. Amara was still in her postpartum confinement period, so of course she refused to eat that. "Honey, didn't you want chicken soup? I got you this chicken-flavored ramen specially. Come on, eat up." I burst out laughing watching Amara hold the instant noodles, completely torn between eating them and not. We finally made it through until my mom recovered, and Amara no longer had to survive on instant noodles. But my mom's recovery didn't make things any easier for Amara. In fact, it made her life even more miserable. On a day when the temperature soared past 40 degrees Celsius, my mom used Amara's postpartum confinement as an excuse to move my brother into her room. My dad and brother were chilling in the master bedroom with the AC on and some iced tea, while my mom and Amara were basically in a sauna in the spare room. After getting heatstroke, my mom got really paranoid about her health and bought herself a palm leaf fan. If Amara even tried to catch a bit of the cool breeze, my mom would get all huffy. She kept saying, I'm only doing this for your own good. Don't be ungrateful, tucking the blanket snugly around Amara, and so, under my mother's all-encompassing and meticulous care, Amara ended up back in the hospital before she had even finished her postpartum confinement. Heatstroke. 9. My mom called me, as usual, asking for money. She said my sister-in-law had heatstroke, which triggered a seizure. I told her I didn't have any money. She told me to figure something out, and I said there was nothing I could do, seeing that I wouldn't budge. My mom stopped talking to me. When Amara came home from the hospital again, she had become much more withdrawn and gloomy. I knew she blamed my mother for it. If my mother hadn't insisted she sun her back, she wouldn't have suffered heatstroke and miscarried. If my mother hadn't stressed that she must avoid drafts during her confinement, she wouldn't have developed epilepsy out of the blue. But my brother is a useless bully at home, completely useless, and wouldn't lift a finger to help her. And if she wants a divorce, my mother would absolutely demand the return of that 180,000 yuan bride price. She can't afford it, and her own family won't help her pay it back. She has no choice but to endure it. My mother, genuinely afraid things might escalate to a tragedy, became much more reasonable after Amara came home. She just couldn't help muttering a few words about her precious grandson every single day. Whenever this happened, Amara would just fall silent, knowing she was in the wrong. My mother started making Amara a different nourishing soup every day, but what Amara didn't know, and what was painfully clear to me, was that my mother was still desperately clinging to her dream of a grandson. She had been slipping some kind of mysterious powder into the soup Amara drank every day. Didn't the doctor tell her that Amara's current condition makes pregnancy inadvisable? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, she wouldn't care anyway. 10. Amara is pregnant again. For my mom, who's been obsessively longing for a grandson, this news is the most wonderful blessing imaginable. At the dinner table, my mother eagerly ladled soup into Amara's bowl, urging her to have a few more sips, but Amara set her bowl down. Dad, Mom, I want to terminate this pregnancy. My mother, of course, would have none of it. She plopped down on the ground, throwing a tantrum and beating her chest in despair. Oh, heavens, what a sin! I've waited on you hand and foot, all for a grandson. Now that you're finally pregnant, you want to get rid of him. My poor, poor grandson. Amara bit her lip and looked to my brother to speak up for her. My brother just kept on serving himself food, refusing to say a word. My dad pretended not to hear either, quietly sipping his drink. Left with no choice, Amara had to grit her teeth and explain. My current physical condition isn't suitable for pregnancy. I was thinking of waiting until my health is more stable. It wouldn't set us back. Stable, unstable. What does it matter? The doctor said it's possible to get pregnant even with epilepsy, right, Evan? My brother thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. That's right, the doctor said it's possible to get pregnant even with epilepsy, as long as you take your medication on time. Hearing my brother take her side, my mother immediately perked up. See, I'm not some ignorant, wicked country mother-in-law. I've looked into the situation. Listen, Amara, I won't force you. If you really don't want to have this baby and decide to terminate the pregnancy, that's your choice. But then you'll have to go back to your parents and return the bride price we gave you. My mother has always been good at using this tactic to control Amara. Sure enough, when Amara heard my mother pull out this trump card again, she fell silent. She tacitly agreed to keep the child. Then, my mom got right to work and started preparing nutritious soup for Amara. She wasn't as meticulous as I am, so every bowl was topped with a thick layer of oil. Amara had to drink it, whether she wanted to or not. It's all for the child, for the sake of the child. My mother would get up before dawn and work until dark to brew soup for Amara, for the sake of the child. My mother sought out countless folk remedies, for the sake of the child. My mother secretly swapped out Amara's anti-seizure medication, 11, and so it was that Amara fell ill when she was less than 7 months pregnant. Over those months, the rich, greasy tonics fattened Amara up by 50 pounds. The obesity complicated the treatment of her epilepsy, necessitating an immediate surgery to deliver the baby. My useless brother did nothing but keep asking our mother what to do. Utterly clueless himself, right on cue, my mom called me again, asking for money. Lorelei, your sister-in-law went into early labor. The hospital needs money for her C-section. You need to figure out a way to send some money right now, or don't you ever think about coming back to this house again. This time, I didn't refuse. Mom, I've got 5,000 saved up here. I'll send that over first, and I'll try to figure something else out. We absolutely have to make sure the baby is okay. It's the family line, I said. my voice laced with urgency. Hearing that I was finally willing to spend the money, my mother's attitude softened considerably. Good child, I knew you had a conscience. Don't worry, I will definitely protect this baby. What's a conscience worth, anyway? A few bucks. The only reason I'm saying this, and even willing to spend money, is purely to stir up trouble. A baby born at less than 7 months is bound to have congenital deficiencies. Raising such a child to be healthy requires a greater investment of both energy and money than usual. Raising a child is already prone to causing conflict. Trying to keep a sickly child alive will only lead to more conflict than with a typical child. After enduring oppression for so long, Amara is bound to snap. The only question is, what method will she use this time? 12. Amara gave birth to a daughter, who was immediately placed in an incubator. The baby's condition is critical. Their alveoli are underdeveloped, putting them at constant risk of suffocation. Amara suffered a severe hemorrhage during delivery. Despite multiple blood transfusions, doctors were unable to control the bleeding. As a last resort, the doctors had to perform a hysterectomy. She can no longer bear children. My mother fainted on the spot when she heard the news. As soon as she came to, she grabbed my brother and told him to get a divorce, to convince my brother. My mother even called me specifically to get my opinion. Lorelai, you tell me, your sister-in-law can't have any more children, and now this one is sickly and isn't even a boy. In this situation, isn't it right for your brother to get a divorce? I've always known my mother favored sons over daughters. In a past life, she stood by and watched her own daughter be killed, all for the sake of a grandson that might never exist. Now, she can't even tolerate a daughter-in-law who can't give her a grandson. I just didn't expect it to happen this fast. The moment Amara was back from the brink of death, she started pushing my brother to get a divorce. Her malice was so palpable it sent a chill down my spine. I asked my brother what he thought about it. After a long silence, he finally told me he didn't know either. He knows nothing, just like my dad, forever lurking in the background as a beneficiary. Watching the women fight it out on the front lines, when asked, he just pleads ignorance. An innocent, overgrown baby of several hundred months. I gave my brother a vague reply, insisting that no matter what, he had to at least wait until Amara's postpartum confinement period was over. Then, I immediately turned around and sent the phone call recording to Amara. 13. Sis, I know you've been wronged, but I hope you'll start thinking about your own future. The baby is innocent, after all. I know there's an element of performance in saying this, but I genuinely feel sorry for Amara. Putting aside our adversarial relationship, she is still a woman. She was a perfectly fine person who married a useless husband and is being hounded by a mother-in-law obsessed with carrying on the family line. Her health is ruined. Her child could die at any moment. And the man who shares her bed is ready to stab her in the back the moment she claws her way back from death's door. Anyone else would have lost their mind. Amara was indeed provoked. Lorelai, you're lying to me, aren't you? Evan wouldn't do this to me. He wouldn't. I didn't defend myself. I just told her I'd sent some money to my mother, for the child. If my mother really forces my brother to divorce you, take this money and go back to your parents' home with the child. This is the last thing I, as her aunt, can do for her. I also told her that my mother has a habit of keeping important things in her bedside table. If things come to a head, she can find her way out there. Amara didn't reply. She just hung up the phone in silence. I knew she believed it. I did send some money to my mother, but it was for Amara's surgery. It's true, my mother does have a habit of hiding things in her nightstand. It's just that there was no money in my mother's nightstand. When Amara goes to get the money, she'll find the epilepsy medication my mother had hidden. My sympathy for Amara as a woman does not mean I will forgive the Amara who killed me. Her own self has always been a part of what drove Amara step by step to this point. 14. Throughout the entire postpartum month, Amara did nothing but sit in her room, lost in thought. She was probably waiting too, waiting to see if my brother would really give up on her. After learning she wouldn't have a grandson, my mother stopped looking after Amara. She spent every day complaining to relatives about her miserable fate. I waited on her hand and foot all this time, and it turns out she's barren. What a waste of money. I've never had a moment's happiness in my life, and in the end, I don't even get a glimpse of a grandson. Poor Evan, no son to carry on the family name, and the daughter he did get is nothing but a burden. Amara overheard every word. On the day she left her postpartum confinement, Amara looked gaunt and had lost a significant amount of weight. Throughout her entire month of confinement, she never once saw her own daughter, and my brother went out of his way to avoid her. my mother's passive-aggressive criticism of her, the utterly unnutritious meals. It was all quietly eating away at her. After my mother relayed my selfish and cowardly brother's wish for them to divorce, Amara snapped. "So Evan wants a divorce too, is that it?" Amara asked in a hollow, lifeless voice. "Of course, you're past it, but our Evan is still young. He can't be left without an heir, can he? You're a woman too, you can't be this selfish," my mother replied with certainty. Upon hearing this, Amara suddenly shoved my mother aside and charged into her room. "What are you doing? Are you rebelling? Amara, open this door." My mother was pounding frantically on the door outside, while Amara rummaged desperately through the nightstand. When she saw her own anti-seizure medication, she sank down onto the edge of the bed. Then, amidst my mother's loud cursing, she flung the door open. "What is this?" She held up the medicine bottle and asked my mom, "How should I know what this is? Why are you going through my nightstand? Are you trying to steal something?" My mom looked guilty for a split second when she saw the bottle, but quickly changed the subject. Little did she know, Amara saw right through her. That reaction was as good as a confession. "It's all your fault. You and your blind faith in that folk remedy, forcing me to sunbathe my back. You killed my first child. You gave me heatstroke, a severe case of heatstroke that left me with epilepsy as a permanent scar. You forced me to have a child, then secretly switched my medication, causing a premature birth. Now my baby is fighting for life in an incubator. You cost me my uterus. I can never be a whole woman again. And now you're forcing me into a divorce." Amara recounted, one by one, every single crime my mother had committed against her. When she got to the part about forcing her to get a divorce, she suddenly stopped. Then, like a zombie, she turned and walked away, leaving my mother behind. My mother, having been yelled at, got angry too and chased after her. As we passed the staircase, Amara suddenly turned and pushed my mother down the stairs. "You ruined me, now you die." This scene was eerily similar to the one where I was pushed down the stairs. The only difference was that our roles were reversed. Now it was her lying in a pool of blood, and I had become the cold, detached observer. 15. My mother is paralyzed. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Aside from being alive, she can't speak or move. After my father and brother failed to get any compensation from Amara's family, they called the police and had her arrested, to avoid returning the bride price. Her family had no choice but to agree to take her niece away to raise. With my mother no longer there to manage the household, my father couldn't cope for long. He sought solace in the world of square dancing. Later, while he was getting intimate with an elderly square dance partner, he was caught in the act by her son, who beat him so badly he could barely walk. My brother is the sole provider for two people who can't take care of themselves, living a life of daily torment. I hung up on countless desperate calls for help from him, lost in the vast sea of humanity. He had no way of finding me. The overgrown child was forced to grow up, but he refused to accept it. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol and, in a confused state, ended up igniting the gas canister. As the surveillance feed cut to black with a deafening boom, I silently uninstalled the app. The road of life is long and winding, yet I walk it alone, without fear or dread. Goodbye, my dear family, goodbye forever. Story 2. The apocalypse has arrived. I obtained a jade pendant space, so my family's food, water, and safety were basically taken care of. Yet, my parents and younger brother grew insatiably greedy, believing I had secretly hoarded more food and resources. Taking advantage of my exhaustion, they pushed me into a horde of zombies. Reborn, my younger brother threatened me to hand over the jade pendant, saying he wanted to be the king of the apocalypse base. This time, I gave him the pendant. Sister, give me the jade pendant, hurry. My younger brother suddenly burst into my room, pushed me to the ground, grabbed my collar, and frantically searched my neck while demanding, "Where is the jade pendant? Where is it?" I instinctively kicked out, sending him crashing into the desk with a pained expression. Only then did I realize I had returned to my room before the apocalypse began. Had I been reborn, I actually reincarnated. Sis, you reincarnated too, didn't you? Otherwise, how would you dare to kick me? My brother rubbed the sore spot, but his face was wild with excitement. "Where's the jade pendant? Give it to me quickly. I need to drip blood on it to claim ownership." At that moment, Dad and Mom also entered the room. "Arden, hand over the jade pendant." Mom glared at me fiercely. "We've all reincarnated. If you don't give it now, we'll just beat you to death. Hurry up." Dad lifted his foot and kicked at me, but I quickly dodged. I recalled the agony of being bitten and torn apart by zombies back then, and even now, my whole body trembles at the memory. So you can dodge now, you must have been reborn too, which saves me the trouble of explaining. Hand over the jade pendant now, I quickly pleaded. Mom, Dad, please don't hit me, the jade pendant isn't on me right now, but I'll find it immediately. I pretended to be scared, trembling as I got up. Thinking while searching, in their previous life, after pushing me into the zombie horde, they must have taken my jade pendant. Unfortunately, they failed to make it recognize a new master. This time, their frantic demand for me to hand it over clearly shows they're trying to seize the first opportunity for ownership. If they want it so badly, they can have it. From between the pages of a thick copy of A Brief History of Time, I pulled out a thumb-sized, dark green Hetian jade square. I bought it from a Xinjiang vendor during a trip for just over 300 yuan. Who would have thought this was actually a space? I had just taken it out when my younger brother snatched it away in an instant, directly using his teeth to bite his finger until it bled, then dripping the blood onto the Hetian jade. Hahaha, I've got a space now. Zephyr, try it quickly. Can you store things inside? Mom and Dad were so excited their faces turned red, in the blink of an eye. They had stored away every usable item in the house, leaving it completely empty. I secretly rejoiced, thinking, go ahead, take more, the more the better. By the time they realized I was still there, more than 10 minutes had passed. Mom suggested tying me up first and throwing me to the zombies later. Fearing I might seek revenge, I pretended to be heartbroken and said sadly, Mom, Dad, you can't do this to me. This jade pendant space has many functions. If you kill me, what if my brother encounters something he doesn't know how to use? This made Mom hesitate. Dad immediately had my younger brother check the spatial function, clearly intending to figure it out right away and then kill me to eliminate any future trouble. I was utterly heartbroken. The current Mom and Dad were even more ruthless than in my past life. Wasn't I their daughter too? In my past life, I suffered so much just so the three of them could have food and warmth. Why were they treating me like this? Brother, for the sake of how well I've treated you, please ask Mom and Dad to spare my life. I'll definitely be useful later, I pleaded softly, reminding him, because later, they had tried to trade me to a base leader in exchange for a residence. Zephyr looked at me smugly, his face full of arrogance, then seemed to remember something and said to our parents, forget it, after all, she is my sister. Mom, Dad, you can just have her help with chores. When the apocalypse comes, someone will still need to cook and do laundry. Keeping her around will save Mom the trouble. My parents thought it made sense and agreed. Stay put and clean the house thoroughly. We're going out, and I expect dinner to be ready and the laundry hung up by the time we return. Mom assigned me tasks that would take days to finish, threatening that if I didn't complete them, I'd be in trouble. The apocalypse is coming tomorrow, and time is tight. The three of them immediately went out to stock up on supplies, locking me inside the house. Just before leaving, Mom turned back and took my phone away too. I looked at the half-emptied house, a mess, as if it had been ransacked by thieves. In my past life, I had protected them too well. They had barely stepped outside and had no idea what the world was really like. If they thought possessing the jade pendant made them invincible, they were in for a rude awakening. I opened my backpack, packed some essential supplies, and set up a little surprise in the kitchen. Then, I smashed open the doors and windows and fled, too. Fortunately, my ID card wasn't taken, so I rushed to the bank to apply for a loan, but only managed to secure 20,000 yuan in student aid. This was far from enough. I bought a durable new phone and took a taxi straight to City B, where the largest national management base established during the apocalypse, the Dawn Base, was located. The 3-hour ride felt agonizingly long. I immediately searched for local supermarkets online and placed orders for a large amount of supplies to be delivered the same day, requesting delivery around 10 p.m. to the entrance of Yongda Community. Yongda Community is situated on relatively high ground, with a vast residential area and well-connected transportation routes. Not located in the bustling city center, it was incorporated into the Morning Light base after the apocalypse. Becoming a residential zone, upon arriving at Yongda Community, the main gate was open, and the access control wasn't strict. I headed straight to room 001 on the 8th floor, found the key hidden in the corridor flower pot, and breathed a sigh of relief. Only after opening the door to 8001 did I finally feel completely at ease. The 3-bedroom, 1 living room apartment 8001 was a place I'd heard about in my previous life. the original owner was a military officer who was often away on missions. And with his parents gone, the house had been left vacant. Later, the officer mentioned hiding the key in the flower pot and donated the property. After updating the online delivery address to 8001, I saw there were still 2 hours left and added more items to the order for combined delivery. Then, without delay, I went to various small supermarkets downstairs to stock up. With limited funds remaining, I could only purchase essential supplies. I've made several trips and finally feel like it's almost done. I'm lying on the sofa, exhausted like a dog. After a quick shower, I went out again to stock up on a few bottles of body wash, shampoo, some towels, and snacks. For snacks, I picked several kinds I had always craved in my past life. Back then, whenever I found something delicious, I could hardly bear to eat it and would bring it all home, hoping to earn praise from Mom and Dad. But they never once complimented me because of my younger brother, Zephyr, who always said it wasn't enough and claimed the snacks I brought back were trash. He even made me go out in the middle of the night to find him endless chicken wings. My parents told me to go out and look, saying if I couldn't find any, I shouldn't come back that night. It was that very night I got bitten by a zombie. After burning with fever all night, I awakened my speed ability. That night was excruciatingly difficult. When I returned, Mom and Dad still gave me cold looks, showing no concern that I had just narrowly escaped death. My brother Zephyr, who didn't get the chicken wings, even broke my head open, and the blood dripped down onto the child jade pendant, a small spherical pendant carved from a piece of Hatian jade. Once again, I unlocked another dimension. I kept my supernatural abilities and the existence of the child jade pendant hidden, as well as the connection between the abilities, the pendant, and the dimension. What they didn't know was that the jade pendant's space was limited. To release items or expand the space, I had to exchange supplies or abilities with the dimension. There was also one crucial secret. The Hatian jade consisted of 2 pendants, a mother and a child. Now, my brother holds the mother pendant, while the child pendant remains in my possession. The mother pendant nurtures the child pendant. All the supplies consumed by the mother jade pendant are mostly transferred to my child jade pendant space. Just thinking about it gets me excited. Unfortunately, the child pendant hasn't been activated long enough yet, so it can't hold too many things. In my past life, I often refused to store their luggage to make more room for food, but they thought I was simply unwilling to open the space. Every time I think about it, I wish I could shake some sense into my past self. Why did I ever beg for love and care from such cold-blooded and cruel family members? Carrying 2 large bags of snacks just for show, I stepped into the elevator, now completely broke. I walked toward room 8001. As soon as I opened the door, I never expected someone to be hiding inside. He immediately pinned me against the wall, slamming me so hard I nearly got a concussion. 3. Who are you? A man's voice, crew cut. Dressed in green, the original homeowner. Am I this unlucky? Didn't they say you never come home? Perhaps seeing that I'm a girl, he loosened his grip slightly, but his calm eyes scrutinized me thoroughly, even kicking aside the snacks I'd brought back. Bought so many snacks. He seemed to remember something and suddenly let me go. Are you the Marina my mom mentioned? I had no idea what he was talking about, so I could only pretend to look a bit wronged, hoping that as a soldier, he would be kind and upright enough not to bully an innocent civilian. He sighed helplessly. I've already told my mom not to introduce me to any girls. I didn't expect her to give you the key, but my mom is no longer here, and even if you come to me, I won't be able to take care of you. Suddenly, I understood the scenario he was implying and immediately squeezed out a few tears. I'm sorry, I didn't know you disagreed. Tomorrow, I'll figure out a way to find a place and move out. I won't disturb you anymore. Tisk, I'm not telling you to leave right away. The man, who was over 6 feet tall and seemed to have just returned without changing his clothes, looked at me with a complicated expression. You can stay for now, move out once you find a place. Thank you. Thank you for taking me in. I wanted to quickly crawl into my room, but after a few steps, I turned back to grab the snacks. Once back in the room, I locked the door. I just remembered the supplies I bought online will be arriving soon. With so many items and such a commotion, it's bound to alert him. Damn it, why does it have to be such bad timing? Thankfully, he didn't mistake her for a thief and shoot her on the spot, thanks to his mother, and thanks to Marina. As soon as the supermarket delivery arrived, I immediately opened the door and waited, carrying bags big and small to another room. In the end, it still caught his attention. He glanced at my supplies, but surprisingly said nothing, then closed the door. I happily continued hoarding. Nearly 20,000 worth of items didn't amount to much, mostly rice, flour, oil, and other staples. Once again securing the door, I felt utterly at ease. The apocalypse is coming tonight, and tomorrow the world will change drastically. There's no way I'll be kicked out of here. 3 rooms, 2 of which I've packed to the brim, and even my own bedroom is so cluttered I can barely walk. Once the jade pendant space expands, I'll be able to store everything, content. I lay down on the bed and took out my phone. I forgot to check on the 3 ghosts at home. While the internet and appliances are still working these last 2 days, I'll take one final look, enter the account information into the login monitoring software. It's almost midnight, and they just got home. I noticed they even invited my brother's girlfriend, Clea. Which amused me. She's quite a remarkable character herself. They came inside, searched for me briefly without success, then noticed the broken door and windows. My parents started cleaning up while cursing me. My brother, lost in his dream of being the king of the base, lay sprawled on the messy couch in the living room, eyes closed, mentally organizing the supplies he bought today. Mom, Dad, can you keep it down? It's so noisy. That bitch left, so let her go. We have plenty of supplies. What's there to fear? Later, when she's desperate, she'll definitely come crawling back to us. Yeah, old woman, go cook. Dad also lay down to rest, turning on the TV, ready to wait for the apocalypse to arrive. Mom glanced at the people in the living room and then shot a few looks at Clea, clearly wanting her to go cook, but Clea was sharp and stayed close to her brother, chatting with him. His girlfriend was very interested in his space and asked him to try it out. The brother thought it was perfect timing. He had previously stored too much random furniture and wanted to take some out, but soon, he frowned, probably starting to realize the rules of using the space. Placing items into the jade pendant space requires no prompts or restrictions. However, when taking things out, you must exchange them for food of equal volume or weight within the space. This means that a large portion of the stored supplies must be given to the space. This was also the reason why, in my previous life, despite having the space and supplies, I was never well off. Most of the time, I couldn't bear to exchange supplies, so I used my abilities instead, which stunted the growth of my powers. Damn it, we still have to give it supplies. My brother fumed. Dad, find a way to contact my sister. There must be something else wrong with this space. My dad instantly tensed up. This was the lifeline for our entire family. He rushed to the kitchen to find my mom, but suddenly, with a loud boom, the kitchen exploded. My dad hadn't entered yet, so he was mostly unharmed, but my mom's face and one hand were left mangled and bloody. What the hell? My younger brother snapped, seeing the 2 elders collapsed on the floor without even bothering to help them up. His tone was dripping with irritation. I asked you to cook a meal, and you blew up the kitchen. Useless. Watch your mouth, my dad scolded. At least showing some concern for his wife. She's your mother, can't you see she's hurt? Go get the first aid kit. Now, my younger brother reluctantly fetched the first aid kit. Mom kept howling in pain, unable to rest from the agony. She couldn't eat supper, and we didn't dare order takeout because the apocalypse had already arrived. Clea didn't believe in the apocalypse at first, but when news reports started showing all sorts of incidents, she got scared. She was an orphan, no parents, no relatives, no close friends, so the only person she could rely on was Zephyr. That's why she volunteered to cook noodles, at least to fill everyone's stomachs. I smiled. The real show was yet to come, for I slept peacefully through the night and woke up the next day to find people scrambling for food everywhere. I noticed the man was no longer in the room, probably out saving the suffering and aiding the distressed. Then I cooked some breakfast. Eating alone means the whole family is full, truly satisfying. Such days are really too rare. I searched around the room and found a photocopy of the man's ID card. His name is Gage. The name sounds somewhat familiar. Turn on the TV, snacking while keeping an eye on people's livelihoods, casually turning on the home surveillance. I was shocked to find Clea and my mom fighting because Clea refused to serve her. I'm not some old maid who came here just to serve you, eat it or not. I won't cook for you anymore. Clea always sees herself as a fairy. She hates cooking the most, having been forced to do it for years in the orphanage. In her previous life when she came looking for Zephyr, I was the one who cooked for her. She was pregnant and extremely picky about food. I risked danger to find her several cans of maternity milk powder. yet she incited my younger brother to steal my spatial jade pendant, claiming I must be hoarding all the good stuff this lifetime. My mother isn't so easy to talk to, though her face and hands were injured. Her legs were fine. She kicked out with one leg. You're living in my house, eating and drinking. All of it belongs to my son. How dare you hit me? I'll have my son throw you out, you old hag. How dare you kick me? The two were wrestling fiercely, pulling each other's hair in a frenzy. Enough. Are you done fighting? Zephyr had just woken up. I've got the space with rice and supplies, and you three still can't cook a single meal. After that, Clea almost never left her room. Mom wanted to find me, but she had taken my phone, leaving no way to contact me. I stayed at 8001 for a few days. After the apocalypse began, the situation here was quickly brought under control by the military. Gage occasionally came back to stay for a night, often appearing and disappearing mysteriously. While there were still few zombies, I went out with a backpack and a short knife. The further things progressed, the scarcer supplies would become. Mainly, I also hoped to regain my supernatural ability, using it to expand the jade pendant space a bit more. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel at ease with that whole room of supplies just sitting there, apart from exposure to the zombie virus. I didn't know of any other way to recover my supernatural ability. I killed a few low-level zombies and arrived in front of a small convenience store, only to find the supplies had already been looted. A small convoy was ahead, with a military truck at the front. Someone got out of the truck. My landlord, Gage. Now I remember. Gage was one of the prominent figures in the early days of the Morning Light base, known for his excellent reputation among the people. The reason I say early days is because he died later. I looked around but didn't find a suitable opportunity to approach the zombies. Instead, I overheard quite a bit of gossip. A thin, tall man in his 30s wearing glasses was complaining about Gage. What's our captain thinking, being so nice to these lowlifes? He's even giving them stuff from his own home. But do they appreciate it? No. They just complain that the military can't provide food and shelter. Damn it. A bunch of ungrateful scum even spat at me. She had seen this man before. He was quite active in the base later on and became one of the base leader's subordinates. Forget it, the captain must have his reasons. Riker, hurry up and write the report. The expansion of our base depends on you, said the deputy captain. Where has the captain gone again? Riker looked toward the convoy. The deputy captain replied, we just received a notification to rescue people at a nearby middle school. I'm on standby to see if backup is needed. I stole a glance and noticed the deputy captain's unusual expression. After the bespectacled Riker left, a long-haired girl arrived. Her voice was very low, but I still overheard their conspiracy. If Gage is in trouble, delay the rescue. I thought about it and followed quietly. The junior high school section wasn't far, just a few minutes' walk. Near the school playground, I encountered several students being chased by zombies. I climbed over the wall and killed the zombies. Thank you, classmate. Let's hurry. There's a military rescue team at the school gate. I ran after them, but before we could reach the campus gate, a large wave of students came rushing toward us. Run. The number of zombies at the main gate suddenly increased. I moved against the tide of people. At the school gate, dozens of soldiers were putting up a fierce resistance. Hundreds of zombies, appearing out of nowhere, had already bent the iron railings, creating a small gap. The zombies can't get in yet. A few brave junior high school boys are also helping, but Captain Gage persuaded them to retreat behind the iron gate. I stand by the gap in the iron gate, a space just wide enough for one zombie to enter, actually a perfect spot for killing. If a zombie reaches in with a hand, I chop off the hand. If it sticks in a head, I chop off the head. I took 2 knives from the jade pendant space and tossed them to the 2 boys who still hadn't left. Clearly, they were also caught up in the frenzy of killing, picking up the knives and joining me in swiftly cutting down the zombies. With everyone's efforts, the number of zombies has temporarily decreased, allowing the soldiers to take a break inside the gate. I saw Gage walking toward us. You've got quite the nerve. He then asked for our class, names, and ages. I can't answer that. Gage glanced at me a few times and didn't press further, watching the zombies gathering outside the gate again. He called his deputy for backup. I thought to myself, this rescue might not come, and perhaps the zombies outside were his deputies doing. Captain Gage, there's a level 2 zombie on the field. It took half an hour for Gage to kill the second level zombie, and he came back with some injuries. He was forced into quarantine. I brought him some food and hot water, and the soldiers asked me to keep an eye on him. They all thought Gage and I were pretty close. Alright, you guys go ahead with your work. I'll watch over him. I gave him some warm water to drink, then took out some 8 treasure porridge from the jade pendant to feed him. He glanced at it, eating while smiling. You've hidden quite a lot of stuff. I shot him a glance and didn't respond. What's your name? This statement startled me. He had finally realized I wasn't the Marina his mother had mentioned. My name is Arden. At first hearing, it was clearly a name that favored sons over daughters. He had a fever. A high one that wouldn't break. I could only keep trying to lower his fever physically, but after searching the space, there were no fever-reducing medicines to be found. Thinking about the kind of person he is, such an upright and handsome officer is rare, and it would be a shame to lose him. Dawn Base needs him too. 5. I picked up the phone and called my younger brother. Zephyr, hey, little bro, you, Arden, yo, you're still alive. Girl, you actually called me. My brother was clearly surprised, but soon, his arrogant tone took over again. What, can't survive out there anymore? Yeah, almost dead. I feigned weakness. But, little bro, you've discovered the secret of the space too, haven't you? On the phone, Mom was cursing me again, calling me a worthless bitch, asking where I'd run off to, saying I might as well die out there. Zephyr told the others to shut up. Clearly, he wanted to have a proper talk with me about the jade pendant space issue. Sis, Zephyr's tone softened. There is indeed a problem with the jade pendant space. Just tell me how to fix it, and once it's resolved, you're always welcome back home. I sneered inwardly. Now the upper hand was firmly in my grasp. I told him about the jade pendant having a companion piece, but explained that I had given the companion piece to a friend. And now the friend refuses to return it unless I can prove it belongs to me. How do you prove it? Zephyr immediately pressed. You could exchange some non-essential medicines, like antivirals or fever reducers. If I receive the medicines on my end with the companion piece, it would successfully prove it's a matching set. Sis, I'm not that dumb. You're just short on medicine, aren't you? Zephyr burst into laughter. If you want proof, I can give you some flour. But medicine is out of the question, I casually replied. Either is fine, flour or rice will do. You know, the space only accepts edible resources. I was afraid you wouldn't be willing to give rice, so I switched to medicine. My brother was confused by me. I knew he was inherently suspicious, and with such an ambiguous answer, he couldn't figure out what I really needed. Sis, I can give you everything you want, but you must bring back that jade pendant. I scoffed. If you won't give it, forget it. I don't lack it. I immediately hung up the phone, then turned on the surveillance. Mom was acting crazy again inside the house. Her wounds had festered and hadn't healed, and she kept rambling in the living room, saying she had to find me or else there'd be no one to cook. Only then did I realize that all of them had lost a significant amount of weight. My younger brother also wanted to call me back. But we don't even know where sister is now. That damn girl even dared to hang up on me. Dad took the phone and called me, barking an order at me. I'm telling you to get your ass back here right now, with that sub-jade pendant. You hear me? Humph. He still thinks he's the head of the household. Tell little bro to exchange the items first, or no deal. Anyway, I'll have plenty of supplies in the future. You can't possibly avoid using the space's resources forever. Besides, my sub-jade pendant can reciprocate, meaning whatever supplies I have, I can choose to return them to you or not. There's nothing you can do about it if I don't. This statement made their blood boil with anger. You have 10 minutes to think it over. Otherwise, don't ever come looking for me again. I'm just giving you a chance right now. In the end, my younger brother agreed to exchange medicine and some food supplies for me. I got the fever-reducing medicine, turned off my phone, carefully checked the medication, and gave it to Gage. The next day, Gage awakened a metal-based ability. This time, Gage led the teachers and students to safely evade the zombie horde. I took out some food from the space and pretended it was found by Gage to help stabilize morale. The rescue team arrived late, and the deputy leader even looked apologetic, saying they were delayed dealing with another group of zombies. I reminded Gage to keep an eye on his deputy leader. I returned alone to 8001. I have been infected with the zombie virus. 6. Burning with fever and half-conscious. I felt someone touching my forehead. It felt cool. I took fever-reducing medicine, so it's not a big problem. If I can pull through, I will gain supernatural abilities. Without the burden of the Mother Jade pendant this time, my powers are bound to be even stronger. Waking up, I smelled the fragrance of rice porridge. Gage sat nearby, awake, after drinking the porridge and resting well. I tested my supernatural ability and unexpectedly gained ice powers, different from my previous life. I turned on my phone again, dozens of missed calls. My siblings must be furious by now, wanting the jade pendant, impossible, asking for supplies in return, even more impossible. By now, power outages have spread everywhere, and water sources are becoming scarce. Since the Yongda community established its base, the backup generator has still been usable occasionally, but other areas aren't so lucky. As for home, I doubt it's livable anymore. Time for them to suffer a little too. Look at how ferocious the zombies in this world are. Estimating that they must have fled in a panic, I gave them a video call, mainly worried their phones might die. Otherwise, I could have called later. Sure enough, my parents' phones were already off. When I called Zephyr, I was munching on endless chicken wings while watching TV. "Hey, little bro, long time no see." He answered instantly. "Sis, stop messing around. I'm begging you," Zephyr said, his clothes torn, hair disheveled, face sallow. His voice trembling with panic. "Where are you? How do you still have chicken wings? Mom's gone. Come back and see Dad. He's losing it too." I found it quite surprising. No matter how bad things got, he still had his own space. Although his food supplies weren't abundant, joining any small team shouldn't have left him in such a miserable state. "What about your girlfriend, Clea?" I asked. "Don't mention that damn woman. She stole my jade pendant and ran off. If I ever see her again, I'll kill her." "Sis, she's the one who pushed Mom into the zombie horde. You need to come back and stand up for me. Help me get revenge." "Oh, we'll talk about it later. I'm lying here quite comfortably right now and don't feel like moving." These words were deliberately thrown back at him. Back in my past life, when I was surrounded by zombies and asked for his help, this was exactly what he said to me. Pay someone back in his own coin. Realizing my indifference, my younger brother suddenly knelt down. "Please. Sis, I really can't go on living. I wronged you in my past life, sis." When Gage returned, he happened to see me on a video call. I turned my head and continued watching my brother's performance. "Sis, as long as you're willing to forgive me, I'll do anything you ask. Please sis, my phone is about to die. I'm just waiting for you to call me back. In my past life, I was a beast. I shouldn't have treated you like that. What will it take for you to forgive me?" "Oh," I sneered. "I'd also love to see you get gnawed by zombies, down to the bone. If you can manage that, I'll come find you." Zephyr suddenly turned pale. "Sis, I truly know I was wrong. Please, sis." I hung up the phone and blocked the number. Gage stood behind me. I turned around and retorted, "What, do you have a problem with that?" "How could I? I just want to see what your brother looks like, so if I ever run into him, I can feed him to the zombie horde." I smiled and said, "Go eat. I kept it warm in the pot for you." He brought out a bowl and sat down with me. "Did you take care of it?" I was asking about that deputy leader of his. Fed him to the zombies too," he said while eating. "How did you know it was him?" I have piercing eyes that can see through past and present lives, though at first, I thought Riker was the one with issues. The man chuckled. "Riker does have some problems, but nothing major." Later, I followed him out to fight zombies, and my ice-based abilities improved by leaps and bounds, while the supplies we collected also increased. Riker became the top leader of the base, excelling at writing, cooking, and killing zombies. Once, when I asked about Gage's background, Riker said in surprise, "Gage doesn't have a mother. He came from an orphanage." Story 2, the end of the world has arrived, and zombies have surrounded the city. My fiancé, accompanied by his mistress, frantically knocked on my door for help. Looking at the two panicked individuals, I hesitated. Mainly, I couldn't decide. Should I watch them die while standing up, or while lying down? Forget it. Forgive others when you can. I'll just watch them while playing with the flowers. 1. Mia. "Do you want to lose your job by sleeping during working hours?" The vice manager with buck teeth was spitting all over as he scolded me, but my attention was completely drawn to the electronic calendar on the wall. It was September 8, 2203, 7 days before the outbreak of the zombie virus. Have I been reborn? Hey, are you out of your mind? Have you revised the plan? Seeing that I didn't respond, the buck-toothed guy actually had the audacity to push me. Damn it, the end of the world is coming. So why should I be polite to you? I slapped him twice with both hands. Go to hell with your colorful black. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I picked up my bag and walked through the crowd, the busy streets, the neon lights, and the traffic without looking back, immersing myself in the bustling city. if one hadn't experienced it firsthand, who would believe it? In 7 days, this place would turn into a living hell. In my previous life, I kindly took in my fiancé's family. But in return, they tortured me, using my body as bait to lure away the zombies. This time, I won't be that stupid again. This time, I will live for myself. My parents were in the neighboring city, and it only took half an hour by high-speed rail. In my previous life, I failed to save my parents. In this new life, I must make up for this regret no matter what. Before making the call, I had a good plan. I would just say that I missed home and ask my parents to come and stay with me for a while. But as soon as the call connected and I heard my mother's voice, thinking of her tragic death in my previous life, a wave of grievance instantly overwhelmed me. I burst into tears and couldn't even say a complete sentence. My mother was so worried that I could even hear her stamping her feet over the phone. But how could I explain this? I died, and then came back to life. Not only would she not believe it, but even if the program, Approaching Science, came and made a 10-episode series about it, this matter still couldn't be explained clearly. My mother was so anxious that she vented her anger on my father, which made my father's tone very harsh when he answered the phone. He started acting like he was interrogating a criminal, asking me to think clearly about the consequences, confess and be lenient, and strive for lenient treatment. Subconsciously, I didn't dare to lie to this old detective. So I just said that the situation was urgent and asked them to bring all their belongings and come to meet me immediately. I don't know how my father understood it, but anyway, he said he understood. His tone was just a bit heavy. With my family gathered, I officially started my doomsday survival plan. Surviving the end of the world can actually be summed up in 2 points: a stronghold and supplies. The house I'm living in now is on the top floor of a high-rise building with a terrace. Although it's a good choice, however, the disadvantages are also obvious. After all, it's located in a bustling area with dense buildings. Whether it's stockpiling goods or reinforcing the house, it can't be hidden from the neighbors. Once the zombie outbreak occurs and supplies are in short supply, my home will easily become the target of everyone. At that time, I would have to deal with zombies and also guard against people. Just thinking about it makes me feel exhausted. In fact, to find a real doomsday utopia, the best option would be an uninhabited island. I remembered, there really is such an island. It's in the artificial lake of the forest park in the new suburban area. The terrain there is high, it's far from the shore, and it's not very large, about 70 to 80 mu in size, but it's enough for a family to live on. The small island is surrounded by lush trees, and the buildings inside can't be seen at all. It has excellent privacy. If I hadn't worked on the post-production of the park's promotional video, I wouldn't have known about this paradise. I immediately found the person in charge of the park management center and proposed to rent the villa on the island to hold an art exhibition. During the whole negotiation process, I emphasized several times that it was an art exhibition. The reason was simple: art can't be eaten, so there's no need to worry about it being coveted by people with ulterior motives in the future. The lease term is 7 days. Pay the deposit first and the remaining balance later. In 7 days, will there still be someone to collect the remaining balance? Thinking of this made me feel sad, but I knew very well that I couldn't save everyone. After paying the deposit, I finally had a home in the apocalypse, and a huge weight was lifted off my heart. The next step was to stockpile supplies. I was driving while calculating my savings and the things I needed to buy. Before I knew it, I had arrived at my doorstep. Home should have been a warm haven, but in my previous life, I was brutally dismembered here by them. I raised my hand and then put it down, still not daring to touch the doorknob. The memories, filled with the smell of blood, made me retch. A cold arm suddenly wrapped around my waist. I was stunned and suddenly turned around. How could it be him, too? Vincent, the scumbag fiancé who tortured me to death in my previous life. I suppressed the urge to bite a piece of flesh off him, clenched my fists tightly, and only managed to force a smile when I felt my nails digging into my skin. Why are you here? In my previous life, he was on a business trip in City B at this time and didn't rush to my house with his mistress and parents until the day the zombie outbreak occurred. In this new life, why did he come early? Before I could figure out the reason, Vincent gave me the answer with a question. Mia, do you believe in reincarnation? Reincarnation, based on my understanding of Vincent, he wouldn't bring this up for no reason. That is to say, he was also reborn. This was not good news. I pretended to be calm and punched him, laughing at him for being overly imaginative. Then I changed the subject and affectionately pulled him to chat about the gossip in the company. Just like before, I wonder if I showed any. At night, I thought about it over and over again and couldn't fall asleep as I tossed and turned in bed. I got up to heat some milk to help me sleep and heard voices coming from Vincent's room. I tiptoed through the living room and pressed my ear against his door. Yeah, she didn't notice. She's still as stupid as she was in her previous life. How could I like that virgin? She's not as charming as you. She's just a free laborer. Yeah, don't worry, baby. You and I are a match made in heaven. I wasn't interested in listening to the following explicit words. I had already gotten the answer I wanted. They still didn't suspect me, and in their eyes, I was as stupid as I was in my previous life. This was really great. I suddenly felt a bit eager to see what expressions they would have when I, this stupid person, bite through their throats. Would my ferocity make them feel afraid? The same fear I felt in my previous life. I finally fell asleep. And this time I slept soundly. 3. It was September 9th, 2203, 6 days before the outbreak of the zombie virus. In the morning, I prepared breakfast and gently woke him up, acting like a dutiful and virtuous wife. I chatted with him casually, but in my head, I kept thinking about where to get the money. There was no other way. I had so many things to buy. Just as I was feeling worried, a bank card was handed to me. This was really like someone giving me a pillow just when I was feeling drowsy. Great. Vincent handed me a shopping list, saying that he wanted to stockpile some supplies and resell them. Because of my work in advertising, I had connections with many brand owners, so he asked me to be in charge of purchasing food. I was to buy according to the list and then transport the supplies to the empty house next door. The high-rise building I lived in had 2 households per elevator. The large duplex next door had always been empty. Indeed, it was the perfect place to store supplies. Vincent had rented the next-door apartment from the property management company yesterday. It seemed that he had already made up his mind to take my house for himself and turn it into his doomsday safe haven. This guy isn't good-looking, but he sure has big dreams. I thought that was already shameless enough, but I didn't expect there to be something even more extreme. As soon as I took the card, Vincent said, "There's 50,000 yuan here. You can advance the rest. And I'll pay you back in 7 days." I looked at the total price of the list, which was 900,000 yuan. He was asking me to advance 850,000 yuan. His calculation was so obvious that even my deaf third uncle in my hometown could hear it. I apologized to him and said, "All my money is tied up in stocks and funds, and it will take a few days to cash out. I can negotiate with the suppliers to pay 50% of the deposit first, have the goods delivered, and then pay the remaining balance. What do you think?" Vincent knew that I was into stocks and funds, so I wasn't lying to him. My blatant calculation didn't arouse Vincent's suspicion. Instead, he transferred another 400,000 yuan to me and asked me to pay the deposit first. He also repeatedly told me to pay him back in 3 days because he was in a hurry to use the money. Of course, don't worry, when you're dead, I'll burn 100 million yuan for you, including the principal and interest. At the same time, I also made a suggestion. Store the supplies in the transfer warehouse for now, arrange the shelves in the empty house next door first, and then transport them from the transfer warehouse uniformly. This will make it more convenient to display them. Since he thought I was a fool, Vincent didn't have the slightest doubt about my suggestion and even praised me for being thoughtful. Holding the scumbag's bank card, I was overjoyed, adding my own savings. I now had more than 2 million yuan in my hand, which was more than enough to buy food. As for the remaining funding gap, I looked at the house. Wasn't this a ready source of funds? I picked up my phone and was about to contact the suppliers when an unknown number called me. The person on the other end of the phone lowered their voice. "Come downstairs and meet me in the parking lot." What's going on? The voice sounded like my father's. Why was he being so mysterious? There were surveillance cameras in the parking lot, and I wasn't afraid. Besides, how could I have any enemies since I'm so kind and lovely? Unexpectedly, as soon as I walked into the parking lot, I was forcefully taken to a blind spot of the surveillance by a person wearing a hat and a mask, whose face I couldn't see clearly. I was so panicked that I tremblingly took out my nail scissors and was about to fight for my life when the person took off their mask. "Father, keep your voice down. What's going on? Dad, did you get into trouble?" Spit, spit. "You unlucky child, what are you talking about? Don't doubt your father's loyalty to the party and the people. Then what are you doing here?" When I asked this, My father's eyes suddenly turned red. He held my shoulders and choked up. Daughter, you said the situation was urgent yesterday, and now your father is here. Tell me, did you kill someone, or set fire to something? It's okay, tell me, and your father will take the blame for you. What? What are you talking about? After being reborn, I had thought about killing and setting fire, but I hadn't had the chance to do it yet. Mia, you haven't cried like you did yesterday since you were 5 years old, and you asked your father to bring all our belongings. There must be something big going on. Tell me, did Vincent do something to you? Did you kill him? Where's the crime scene? Your father will help you deal with it. Your father is a professional. I couldn't help but feel a warmth in my eyes. When I was a child, my father was very strict and required me to abide by the legal bottom line and be an honest and kind person. Otherwise, he would send me to jail with his own hands. But when he really thought I might have made a mistake, he was actually willing to go against the beliefs he had followed all his life. My God, what an amazing father. Woo, daddy, woo. Hey, don't cry, my head hurts. Your father isn't dead yet. Why are you crying? It's okay, your father is here. I was sobbing and explained to my father intermittently that Vincent had cheated on me and that I was going to break up with him, after my father confirmed several times that this was all there was to it. He heaved a sigh of relief, his back straightened visibly, and he seemed to grow taller all of a sudden. He took off his mask and hat, fanned himself with his hand, and took out his phone to call my mother. May, bring the plan B here. B plan. After a while, I looked at River, who was also looking confused. Standing in front of me, he had probably just gotten off work and hadn't had time to change out of his police uniform. The collar of his shirt was slightly open, revealing his wheat-colored neck. The small mole on his Adam's apple seemed to be more prominent than it was a year ago. It rolled as his Adam's apple moved, and I swallowed involuntarily. He was as handsome as ever, and I hadn't washed my face or hair. There were oil stains on my loose t-shirt from the breakfast earlier, in my not-so-white snowy shoes. My bare toes were awkwardly intertwined. What the hell was going on? 5. I pulled my parents aside and angrily asked them, what's the plan B? After a lot of explanation, I finally understood what was going on. I had been tough since I was a child, to put it this way. Since I was 5 years old, it was always me making others cry, and then I cried my heart out on the phone yesterday, which completely panicked my parents. My mother thought that my marriage was probably off, while my father firmly believed that I must have committed a crime. So, the two of them came up with a two-pronged plan. If I had killed someone or set fire to something, my father would help me destroy the evidence. No, strive for lenient treatment, and River was the plan B, my backup fiancé. I didn't feel good about this. River was really something. Just because they asked him to be the plan B, he agreed. If he had been this obedient before, would we have broken up? If we hadn't broken up, what would I have been like in my previous life? Forget it. Let's not talk about it. As the conclusion of this farce, I took everyone to my favorite Michelin-starred restaurant. My mother disapproved, saying that it wasn't a special day, the 6th day before the end of the world. Isn't that special enough? We won't be able to eat here in the future. When ordering, my parents both said, whatever. When it was River's turn, he ordered all my favorite dishes as if nothing had happened. My parents exchanged a smile, and I picked at my nails to reduce my presence. My intuition told me that River, that guy, had ulterior motives. During the meal, my father suggested that since Mia didn't have any major problems, after the meal, they should give Vincent a good beating and then go back first. Facing an old and a young detective, I reluctantly told a lie. I had taken on a private job for an exhibition and hoped that everyone would stay and give me a hand. My parents didn't refuse. As for River, he had already taken his annual leave before coming. He privately asked me if it was convenient for him to stay. I blurted out that it wasn't convenient. I was telling the truth. I had a puppy love with him when I was 16, and we were together for 9 years before breaking up for 1 year. I hadn't thought about getting back together, and I never expected to meet him again in this way, but I knew that if I said goodbye to him today, it would be a farewell forever. He was so silly. If the zombie outbreak occurred, he would definitely rush to the front. He was so silly that no one would be willing to protect him. Are you leaving just like that? River turned around, the corners of his mouth curving into a smile. His eyes were like a pool of spring water, very alluring. What, do you miss me? Maybe, just a little bit, a teeny tiny bit. My toes were cramping because they had been working too long. River, Thank you for going along with their nonsense and making this trip. Why is it nonsense? I volunteered to be Plan B. His voice was deep. And the word, volunteered, was like a warm breeze gently blowing into my ears. I was jolted. It seemed that this man was flirting with me, but I had no evidence. Since you're here and you don't have anything else to do, help me out for a few days. Sure, what's in it for me? The benefits are huge. Does saving your life count? I originally didn't want to pay attention to him, but after walking a couple of steps, the more I thought about it, the more I felt that I was at a disadvantage. A huge disadvantage. I can't just save River's life for nothing. Mia, don't look at me like that. You might lose your body. Bah, you wish. Hey, I'm asking if you have any money. You, a single dog, should be quite rich. Lend me some to spend. Mia, you look like the school bully in 6th grade right now. Why am I like a 6th grader? Do I look like a minor? Is River attacking my A-cup? This is too much. I want the money today. I really want it. I really do. Will you lend it to me or not? Fine, I'll lend it to you. What's with that expression? It's like I'm being unreasonable. No, no, no. What's your attitude? Am I wrong? Yes, you're right. In the end, River offered me his bank card with both hands. Fortunately, I'm good at talking. What's the password? River didn't say anything and obviously avoided answering. I understood immediately and asked him coldly if it was still the old one. My birthday. He nodded casually and said that my father was calling him. Why didn't I hear it? Liar, and he's a policeman. 6. With Vincent's and River's bank cards in my pocket, I confidently walked into the largest wholesale market in City A, after contacting several familiar brand agents and comparing prices among different suppliers. On the first floor, in the grain and oil area, I placed the following orders: 10,000 gene of vacuum-packed Wuchang rice, 5,000 gene of vacuum-packed flour, a total of 1,000 gene of corn, millet, glutinous rice, quinoa, oats, purple rice, red beans, mung beans, soybeans, and black beans, 300 barrels each of corn oil, peanut oil, and olive oil, totaling 9,000 gene, 100 bottles of sesame oil, totaling 100 gene. On the second floor, in the seasoning area, 1,000 bags of table salt, totaling 1,000 gene, 200 gene each of coarse salt, white sugar, rock sugar, and brown sugar, 100 bottles each of soy sauce, oyster sauce, aged vinegar, and rice vinegar, 50 bottles each of dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, and cooking wine, 100 gene each of chicken essence, monosodium glutamate, and 5 spice powder, a total of 100 gene of 13 spice powder, chili powder, and pepper powder, a total of 1,000 bags of soybean paste, mushroom sauce, lao gan ma, bibimbap sauce, and Korean bibimbap sauce, 50 gene each of Chinese prickly ash, star anise, bay leaves, and cinnamon, a total of 1,000 bags of finished seasonings for hot pot, barbecue, boiled fish, braised pork rice, etc. In the dried goods area, mountain products, 1,000 gene of mixed Yunnan mushrooms, mixed packaging is cheaper, 50 gene of black and white fungus. In the dried goods area, seafood products, there was a wide variety of dried and fresh seafood, but considering the budget, in the end, I only bought 1,000 gene of kelp. In the dried goods area, nuts, 100 boxes of compound nuts, 100 gene each of dried apricots, dried pears, raisins, and dried cranberries. I also went to a military supplies store and ordered canned food. It has a shelf life of 70 years, which can last all the way to the next generation. The next generation. Why did I have such a strange thought? It's all River's fault. He's affecting my train of thought from a distance. That night, to avoid tipping them off, I went back to the high-rise apartment. I just didn't expect that Vincent had prepared such a big surprise for me. 7. When I got home and just entered the house, I saw a busy and beautiful figure in the kitchen. I would never forget this person even if she turned to ashes. It was Shirley, the woman Vincent was keeping outside. In my previous life, it was she who instigated those beasts to chop me into pieces to attract the zombies, while introducing Shirley as his niece. Vincent complained about why I had come back so late, saying that the meal his niece had painstakingly prepared was already cold. Is it called painstakingly preparing a meal by just pouring takeout from the packaging box onto the plate? Does he think I'm blind? Shirley is 20 years old, and I'm 26, but this so-called niece insists on calling me auntie and even picked a pig's trotter for me, saying it would replenish my collagen. If you want to be a grandchild so much, I'll grant your wish. I directly praised her for being filial and gave her a red envelope of 5 yuan. Then I started to care about her. Are you still at school? How many points do you want to get in the exam? Are you working? How much money have you saved? Do you have a boyfriend? When are you getting married? Your face looks a bit pale. Won't it affect your fertility? This girl seems to have some problems with her fallopian tubes. Seeing that my dear niece was so angry that her neck became thick, I couldn't help but laugh and reached out to ruffle her delicate hairstyle vigorously. This child is so cute. My dear niece looked at Vincent with a pitiful expression, and Vincent signaled her with his eyes to behave herself. She really should behave herself. The zombies haven't come yet, and I'm not dead. Watching their silent communication with their eyes, I silently blessed them in my heart. You two scumbags. I hope you're stuck with each other forever. Vincent and I met through a blind date. It was only a little over half a year from the time we met to when we were preparing to get married. I can only say that I didn't dislike him. There was no physical intimacy between us, and Vincent respected me. At first, I even thought this was quite romantic. I didn't expect that he wasn't in a hurry because he had other channels for release. Ugh. I knew that they would definitely do something since they hadn't seen each other for a long time. But I just wouldn't let them have their way. I just watched TV in the living room, watching a horror movie, and kept watching until the early hours of the morning. My dear niece couldn't hold on any longer and said she wanted to go to sleep. I acted all mysterious and reminded her to check under the bed, in the closet, and behind her. She turned pale with fear and ran back to the bedroom in a hurry. Vincent had already started snoring, so I didn't even need to do anything. I did some little tricks in the living room and then went back to my room feeling satisfied. I was almost asleep in a daze when my phone vibrated. It was from River. You can consider plan B. I don't mind. Damn it, I do mind. You can go to hell. I sent an angry emoji. River sent me a piece of information, which included evidence of Vincent's infidelity and that he had already sold the wedding house. It was obvious that this couldn't have been investigated in just one day, and this feeling of, look, what kind of person your fiancé is, I'm even better than your ex-boyfriend, was really unpleasant. I covered myself with the quilt and directly called River to ask him what he was up to. His voice was deep, and his soft laugh was like a little hook, making my heart tingle. I want to do a lot of things. Do you want to give it a try? In that instant, two words suddenly popped into my blank mind. Flirtatious. I asked him through gritted teeth if he was still in touch with that young widow with a child. There was silence on the other end of the line, and then he let out a heavy sigh and called me softly, Mia. As soon as he said those two words, I hung up the phone. I knew what he was going to say next. He was going to say that there was nothing between him and her. I believe there's nothing between them, but believing doesn't mean accepting. Just call me willful. I really can't accept that the man who said he wanted to be with me forever went to take care of another woman when I had a fever of 40 degrees. 8. September 10th, 2023. I was so angry last night and went to bed so late that I didn't get up until noon the next day. There were 2 steaming servings of breakfast on the table, including fried eggs, bacon, millet porridge, fried cakes, and meat buns. My dear niece looked at me with a guilty expression and said that she didn't know I would get up so late. So she had only prepared 2 servings of breakfast. She asked if she should make another serving for me now, Auntie. Although she said that, she didn't show any intention of getting up at all. Unfortunately, I'm not the kind of person who knows when to back off. It doesn't matter, I can just make do with this. I sat down and directly picked up the serving of breakfast that she hadn't touched yet and ate it as if it were perfectly normal. My dear niece was stunned by my action. Just as Vincent was about to lose his temper, I looked at my dear niece's head with a loving expression and said, You've worked hard, my dear niece. This child is really nice. Whoever marries you in the future will be really lucky. This one sentence strangely pleased both of them. Of course, my dear niece went to cook with a beaming face, and Vincent also smiled with satisfaction. If they were happy, then I wasn't happy. Vincent, why haven't I heard you mention such a nice niece before? Well, it makes sense. You're already 35 years old. When you started working, she was still in primary school. There's a big generation gap between you. There's a generation gap every 3 years. There are 5 generation gaps between you two. I guess you don't have much in common to talk about. Hey, have you gotten more wrinkles? The wedding is coming up soon. do you want to have some minor cosmetic surgery? With Vincent's red face. I ate the meal with great relish. How's the food procurement going from yesterday? There's still some left. I'll take a good look around today. Since you want to make money from this, I'll definitely choose the ones that are good in quality and low in price. Vincent nodded and urged me to hurry up. It had to be ready within 3 days. I patted my chest and told him to rest assured. Don't worry, in 3 days, I'll make sure you eat nothing but shit. Today I'm going to purchase clothes and daily necessities, women's clothing, long-sleeve t-shirts, jeans, jackets, shorts, down jackets, underwear, shirts, home clothes, windbreakers, cold-proof clothes, sun protection clothes. I chose the ones that are sturdy and durable and purchased dozens of sets of each style, men's clothing, several sets of camouflage uniforms, daily necessities, 20 quilts each of different thicknesses, including cotton quilts, silk quilts, and air conditioning quilts, 200 jean each of simple packaged laundry powder, dishwashing liquid, and body wash, 200 pieces each of soap and toothpaste, 200 pieces each of toothbrushes and towels, 1,000 packs of facial cleansing towels, 1,000 packs of toilet paper, a total of 500 packs of daily use and night use sanitary napkins. For basic skin care products like facial cleansers, I directly contacted the manufacturer for delivery. As for expensive products like black bandage creams, since money is tight now, I gave them up completely. Whoa! When I was doing the purchasing, I happened to come across a large warehouse supermarket going out of business. The 90% new shelves were sold at half price. I bought 1,000 of them like crazy. I sent 100 of them to Vincent's place and sent the remaining 900 to my island. My mother has doted on me since I was a child, and she unconditionally supports everything I do. She didn't even ask any questions and just directed the work. As a Virgo with obsessive-compulsive disorder, the boxes of supplies she arranged were simply a feast for the eyes. However, maybe because of their work, my father and River were too perceptive and specifically came to ask me what kind of exhibition I was holding. I just said, "It's just an exhibition," and then quickly slipped away. The more I talk, the more mistakes I'll make. I might as well keep it a secret for as long as I can. If I told the truth at this moment, wouldn't he take me to see a doctor? When I got back that night, Vincent and my dear niece had already finished their meal. My dear niece affably said that she had saved some food for me, Auntie, and told me to eat it while it was still hot. Hee. If she's this filial and there's no ulterior motive, I won't believe it. I stared straight at my dear niece and said, "What a pity, I've already eaten outside." Vincent was scrolling through videos on the sofa and without even looking up, he blamed me for not appreciating my dear niece's kindness. He was right, the child was being kind, and I couldn't be ungrateful. Then, "Come on, my dear niece, bring me a basin of foot-washing water. Mia, you, have some respect. How can you call an elder by their first name directly?" My dear niece was so angry that she stomped her feet, and Vincent couldn't sit still either. The veins on his forehead were bulging, and it seemed like he was about to lose his temper. "Vincent, about that money, oh, my feet really hurt. The supplies will be ready tomorrow. Oh, my feet hurt so much that I can't even speak." Vincent wasn't stupid and naturally understood my little trick. He pushed Shirley and told her to quickly go and bring me a basin of foot-washing water. Shirley went, but she stomped her feet loudly with every step she took. Vincent quickly asked me how the supplies were coming along. Of course, everything was already prepared, and the goods could be delivered tomorrow. Vincent slapped his thigh and said happily, "Great." He said that the shelves had just been installed as well. My dear niece looked at me with a contemptuous look, as if I were a bumpkin, and said, "Don't think you're the only one who's done some work. Didn't you see that the windows at home have been replaced too? These are bulletproof glass. And there's also an anti-spy film on them, bulletproof glass." Don't listen to her nonsense, she doesn't know. It's just thickened glass, so it will be warmer in winter. Oh, I was exhausted during the day and didn't have the energy to keep an eye on them at night. Since I was reborn, I've had very poor sleep. In the early hours of the morning, I was awakened by the rustling sounds in the living room. As soon as I opened the door a crack, I saw that Vincent, who was supposed to be lying on the sofa, was now on top of my dear niece. With the end of the world approaching, these two scumbags were becoming more and more unscrupulous. A few seconds later, Vincent shuddered and showed a satisfied expression. The two of them hugged each other and started talking about serious matters. They had almost finished purchasing the supplies. and they still had some spare money and planned to buy weapons. As soon as weapons were mentioned, the scene of being dismembered in my previous life seemed to come back before my eyes. A chill spread along my spine, and I felt a bit short of breath. In addition to weapons, my dear niece also wanted to buy an electric shock collar, saying that she wanted me to crawl at her feet like a dog. Vincent had just had his pleasure and was very compliant. He kept nodding and saying that he would do whatever his baby wanted. He even said that not only would I be a dog, but I could even eat shit. Oh right. We haven't tasted human flesh yet. The two of them looked at each other, smiled sinisterly, and tacitly looked towards my bedroom. I quickly pulled my head back and hid behind the door against the wall. There were footsteps outside the door, getting closer and closer. Tap, tap, tap. I quickly lay on the bed barefoot in 2 or 3 steps, adjusted my breathing, and pretended to be sound asleep. The footsteps stopped by my bed, and there was no sound for a long time. Just when I thought he was going to leave, suddenly a breath of hot air hit my face. I forced myself to hold back the urge to jump up and run away and didn't dare to move at all. Maybe because I was too nervous, my sphincter muscles became disordered. Accidentally, there was a puff, a long fart. Ugh. The sound of footsteps rang out again, and this time the footsteps were obviously hasty. Only when I was sure that the person had left the room did I slowly let out a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness for that timely fart, otherwise. The silk nightgown on my body was somewhat damp and felt icy cold in patches. I can't stay in this home anymore. Once they get their hands on weapons, my death will be imminent. Fortunately, the big pit I prepared for them has reached the final step. 9. On September 11th, 2203, 4 days before the arrival of the apocalypse, in the morning, I sent several big red envelopes in the community's property owners group. While apologizing, I announced, I'm going to open a fresh produce supermarket. I need to restock today, and there will be many large trucks coming. I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused to all the property owners. Please be understanding. Exactly. I just want the whole community to know that my home has supplies. I arranged the delivery times very scattered. People came to deliver goods to my home at sparse intervals throughout the day. When someone came to deliver goods, I would go to the entrance of the community to meet them. Whenever I met someone, I would say that a large truck would come to my home soon. Make way, everyone, make way. If you ask me what goods are being delivered, when I meet someone with a child, I say it's milk powder being delivered. When I meet an elderly lady, I say it's eggs being delivered. My aim is to make sure that everyone in the community knows that my home has what they need. This day wasn't in vain. By the evening, even the dogs in our community knew that my home had bones. Naturally, Vincent was kept in the dark about my actions. He wasn't in the property owners group, and he hadn't gone downstairs these days. Maybe he didn't want others to know that there was an extra person like him on the top floor. When I went out to receive the goods, Vincent repeatedly told me to keep a low profile and never let others know that what was inside were grains. I said, don't you trust me to handle things? Of course, Vincent trusted me because in his eyes, I was the biggest fool. More than 100 shelves were arranged in 5 neat rows. When someone was around, I honestly carried the boxes. When there was no one around, I straightened up and kicked those supply boxes like they were balls. They weren't heavy, they were all empty. How could they be heavy? Saying they were empty wasn't very nice. It should be said that they were filled with plenty of air. The heavy rice bags were neatly arranged at the front. Vincent was hugging his niece and binge-watching a drama. When he saw me come in, he lazily took his arm off his niece's shoulder, got up, and walked towards the door. Is it all done? I'll go and check the quality of the supplies. I was so scared that I almost lost my balance. What quality? The quality of the air. Just as I was in a hurry to stop him, the doorbell suddenly rang. Ding dong. A bad premonition suddenly rose in my heart. Could it be that those nosy aunties really came to buy eggs? If it really was them, wouldn't my actions in the community today be completely exposed? Before I could stop him, Vincent had already opened the door. It's over. 10. I was already prepared to run away when an old face barged in first. Why did it take so long to open the door? When I saw who it was, the heart that had been in my throat finally settled down. Auntie, why are you here? Why didn't you notify us in advance? What kind of talk is that? I'm coming to my own son's home. Why should I notify you in advance? What, am I wrong? You and my son are getting married soon. In the future, what's yours will be his, right? Exactly. You're right about everything. At this moment, when I looked at my future mother-in-law, she was like a lucky charm to me, so close. I almost got caught here today. Ever since Vincent came to my home, it was like there was an invisible knife hanging over my head. I can't stay in this home for another day, but before I leave, I want to leave a good impression on my future mother-in-law. How good an impression. So good that no one except me can take care of this old hag. In my previous life, when I was being tortured and dismembered, it was she who suggested cutting me while I was still alive, saying that it would be fresher that way. This enmity is irreconcilable. Just you wait, old hag, there will come a time when you'll cry. When my father-in-law and mother-in-law visited, I personally served them tea and water. There was nothing they could think of that I didn't take care of meticulously. This made the old lady so happy that the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes never disappeared. When Vincent softly told his niece to learn from me, I knew that I had achieved my goal and couldn't help but shed tears of excitement, not for anything else. Mainly, the old lady's feet were so disgusting that they were an eyesore. It was the first time I knew that foot odor could have such a strong impact. I had clearly stuffed my nose, but my eyes were disappointing. The old lady was so comfortable on the sofa that she was almost falling asleep. I poured foot washing water, thinking that I could finally take a break. Just as I was about to go back to my room, she stopped me. The old lady took out a prenuptial agreement from somewhere. So this was the main point. I had heard of a prenuptial agreement but had never seen one. It was said that even billionaires had to sign this when they got married. Could it be that my in-laws were some kind of hidden billionaires? Vincent also had a headache and quickly tried to persuade them, saying that this time he had called them here to enjoy a peaceful life and that these matters could be discussed later. The old lady gave him a glare and ignored him. She just smiled and explained the agreement to me one by one. Prenuptial agreement. 1. Have a child first and then get the marriage certificate. 2. After marriage, the woman needs to resign and stay at home to take care of the child and pay the man 5,000 yuan per month as household expenses. 3. The property under the woman's name needs to be transferred to the in-laws for safekeeping, and the man's property has nothing to do with the woman. 4. The man voluntarily pays a betrothal gift of 88,000 yuan, but the woman needs to return the betrothal gift to the in-laws after marriage. 5. The old lady's mouth opened and closed, and my mouth just couldn't close. They could have just robbed me, but they actually gave me a piece of paper. Facing this series of actions, I just wanted to clap. After the old lady finished reading, I didn't sign immediately. Signing immediately would be too obviously perfunctory. After thinking for a long time, I said that I didn't agree to getting the certificate later because I wouldn't feel secure that way. The old lady pursed her lips, slapped the table, and stood up, saying that I was being too arrogant and asking if there was no such rule in their Yellow Banner clan. Finally, after a fierce argument, I managed to get them to agree that we would get the certificate as soon as I got pregnant. The old lady wasn't satisfied, but my father-in-law was reasonable. He said that as long as I could have a child, it was certain to be a boy. I quickly praised my father-in-law for his foresight. After a round of flattery, these two old geezers finally let me go to sleep. I told her and my father-in-law to have a good rest. It would be best if they never woke up on this day. I had used up all my acting skills. I thought it was all over, but when I went back to my room, I saw Vincent waiting for me with a cold smile on his face. 11. Mia, did you sign that agreement? This doesn't seem like you. His eyes were sharp, and there was a faint hint of bloodlust in them. Vincent, he had the intention to kill. It seems that I can only take a desperate gamble. I suddenly pounced on Vincent, hugged him, and rubbed against his chest while crying loudly. I did it all for you. You heartless man, ever since your niece came, I can tell that you don't care about me anymore. And now you're saying this. I'm so disappointed in you. Go away, leave me alone. Just like that, I pushed Vincent out of the door. Then, leaning against the door panel, I continued to cry while listening to the commotion outside. My efforts tonight weren't in vain. My future in-laws had completely sided with me and were scolding Vincent for being too harsh on me. Vincent still felt that something was wrong and wanted to come in and ask me clearly, but he was stopped by his parents. They told him to talk about it tomorrow and to calm down. Whoosh, finally, it was quiet outside. Those two old folks finally did something decent. They went to bed early because of their age. The old folks went into the bedroom early, while Vincent and his niece were watching TV in the living room. Maybe they thought I was asleep too, so they didn't hold back when they were talking. You said that Mia was acting strangely, right? Why did she change her mind after you went into her room? Did that bitch seduce you? It's all because of my mom. She said it would be nice to have you two by my side. taking care of me, one big and one small, and you can also help the Vincent family have more descendants. Wishful thinking, one big and one small. Tell me, who's the big one and who's the small one? Of course you're the big one. You're the most important. The conversation gradually became lewd. What's the use of being big? Can you squeeze out milk to eat as food? I'll order a cow today and drink fresh milk every day from now on. Anyway, the pit has already been dug, so I might as well leave tonight. I quietly locked the bedroom door from the inside, stuffed the gap under the door with a cloth to block out any light, and then started packing the remaining luggage. I had already secretly transferred a lot of things these days. While packing, I sent an Instagram message to my mom, asking her how things were going on her end. I said I would meet them tomorrow. My mom asked my dad to come and pick me up. After thinking about it, I didn't refuse and told him to come early. As soon as it was slightly dawn, my dad sent an Instagram message saying, "I'm here." I tiptoed out of the door, while waiting for the elevator, since I had nothing else to do. I thought about changing the password of the electronic lock next door. As soon as the elevator door opened, I heard a shrill female voice behind me. "Hurry up, that bitch Mia is trying to run away." I didn't even dare to look back and desperately pressed the door closing button. Smack, smack, smack. What a shitty elevator. It's usually so quick at pinching me. Seeing that Vincent was about to reach his hand in, I gave him a flying kick, sending him to a cooler place. Fortunately, my dad parked the car nearby. As soon as I went downstairs, I got into the car. "Hurry up, drive quickly." 12. Vincent was holding a fire axe and approaching step by step, looking ferocious. "Bitch, come back here. Stop the car for me." Just as I was teasing him with, "Naya Naya Naya," and waiting to see him eat my exhaust, suddenly there was a sudden break. The car stopped. Did it break down? Can't I be this unlucky? Looking at the people from Vincent's family who were getting closer and whose expressions were gradually turning crazy, my whole body couldn't stop trembling. Was the nightmare of my previous life going to repeat itself? However, who was the one who called someone a bitch just now? Who was the bitch calling? Come on, explain it clearly to me. My dad got out of the car unhurriedly, and River in the passenger seat rolled up his sleeves. His mouth was pursed into a line, and anyone who knew him could tell that he was angry, very angry. Two big and burly men stood in front of Vincent. I finally realized, in this life, I'm not alone anymore. In this life, I don't have to be afraid anymore. "Vincent, are you deaf, or can't you understand human language?" Vincent was well aware of my dad's profession. I remember that when he first came to my home, my dad enthusiastically demonstrated which parts of the human body would hurt but not leave any marks when struck. At this moment, Vincent's legs visibly went weak. When my future mother-in-law heard that he was my dad, she became even more furious and loudly scolded me. "I've never seen such an unruly daughter-in-law. Mia, if you leave today, don't ever come back. Don't you forget the prenuptial agreement you signed." "What agreement?" My dad's face was so dark that it seemed like water would drip from it. My future mother-in-law slowly took out that piece of paper, and her chin was raised so high in pride that it seemed like it was going to touch the sky. I wanted to reach out and grab it, but River stopped me. I could only try to huddle under the car seat to reduce my presence. Judging from his expression, my dad's blood pressure was about to go off the charts. I whispered softly, "I can explain. You'd better give me a reasonable explanation." River walked up to me and asked with concern, "Mia, were you coerced?" Yeah, that's right, coerced. It was coercion. Why didn't I think of that? Wait a moment, watch me transform. "Dad, I've had a tough time. They ganged up on me and bullied me." I covered my eyes and sobbed. "Dare to bully my daughter? Vincent, if you don't want to live anymore, just say so. I'll be happy to give you a hand." Bang, smack, crack crack. Vincent's face was knocked askew by my dad. River couldn't stand it anymore and finally punched him twice more to make it symmetrical. "Dad, let's go." "I don't want to see them." "Okay, let's go. I'll listen to you. As long as you don't cry, anything is fine." Beads of sweat were falling off my dad's head. It's hard for him, a rough man. He's been afraid of my mom's and my tears all his life. I casually glanced at River, and his head was also covered in sweat. "Bah, copycat, you'll grow white hair." 13. It was still early, and we found a steamed bun shop. After having breakfast, my dad and River tried to say something several times but held back, and they kept giving each other looks, asking the other to speak first. I tilted my head and pretended not to see. I directly told them, "We'll talk about it when we get home." In the morning, I made several phone calls, holding several identical property certificates. I borrowed a lot of money from several well-known loan sharks in the area. My dad naturally didn't agree, but I said seriously, "We'll talk about it when we get home." Out of trust in me, my dad compromised. River looked at those loan sharks with cold eyes. I knew what he was thinking. With his status, it would be easy for him to cancel this deal, but I gave him a look, indicating to him, "Mind your own business when it comes to women's matters." River kept asking me if I was stimulated and said that he could help me get revenge. His slightly furrowed eyebrows due to worry made my heart tremble. I never thought that Officer River, who always abides by the law, could say such things. "My principles can be put aside for you, just for a while." "Oh ho ho, he talks better than he sings. What about that widow? Can you put her aside too?" "Mia, you know very well that." I ran away as soon as I finished speaking. I wasn't going to argue with him about those irrelevant things. Make him angry, make him angry, make him angry. Seeing him look frustrated, I felt so comfortable all over. It was like peeling off an old blood scab, so satisfying. I turned around and walked into a seed store. Today's procurement officially began. I bought 1 gene of each kind of vegetable seed, as well as mushroom and fungus spawn bags, and fruit tree seedlings. I also consulted the store owner about buying a cow. When I mentioned buying a cow, the store owner's eyes lit up and he asked me if I had any special requirements. After thinking about it, I answered no. What special requirements could there be for buying a cow? Isn't it just for drinking milk? My actions this day had stunned my dad to the point of numbness, but when he saw the store owner happily following us back to the island with a cow, he couldn't help but speak up. "Daughter, I want to say." "Dad, don't say anything, I'll explain to you when we get back." "No, it's not that, Dad, trust me, I have my reasons." River tugged at my dad's sleeve, and the two big men fell silent. This kind of tacit understanding really makes me jealous. River's parents were anti-narcotics police officers. They both died at a young age. Because of their former classmate relationship, my dad has been taking care of River and raising him. Later, he also became a police officer. The tacit understanding between them is even greater than that between my dad and me, his biological daughter. I pouted. If my mom were here, she would definitely say that I'm 26 years old. So why am I still so childish? But even if I were 62, he's still my dad, my own dad. Thinking of this, I became even more annoyed with River. My mom really likes small animals, but she was also quite stunned when she saw me bringing back a cow. "Mia, what kind of exhibition are you holding?" It's a long story. It was time to tell them the truth. I invited the three of them into the room and poured each of them a glass of water. What I'm going to say next may sound a bit terrifying. Please calm down your emotions. Next, I used the same opening as Vincent. "Do you believe in reincarnation?" The story wasn't long. I omitted the process of being dismembered and just said that I was killed. After I finished narrating everything almost in a state of collapse, what greeted me was their long silence, which was also within my expectations. My dad lit a cigarette but didn't smoke it. He didn't throw it away in a panic until the cigarette but burned his hand. "Daughter, how about I take you to see a doctor tomorrow? Your mom knows a very good doctor." I looked at my mom. Her expression was complicated, but it was obvious that she agreed with my dad's suggestion. I looked at River. His eyes were bloodshot, and his tightly clenched fists were trembling slightly. After a long while, he choked out 2 words. "Did it hurt?" "No, it didn't." I smiled with a sense of relief. Fortunately, there was still someone who believed me. "Did it hurt in my previous life?" "It did. It hurt so much that I just wanted to die quickly, but it's all in the past. There's no need to use the memories to hurt another person." I smiled and tried my best to squeeze out the dimples that he used to like the most. I calmly took out Vincent's bank card, the shopping list he wrote with his own hands, and the evidence that River sent me showing that he had already sold the wedding house, and put them all on the table. 14. If I'm crazy, then how do you explain all these? I'm not the only one who was reborn. I'm not hearing things. It's not a delusion. All those things really happened. My parents held those pieces of evidence and seemed to have imagined something. They were immediately shocked beyond measure. According to what Mia said, then there are only 3 days left until the zombie outbreak. I'll gather up our savings and see what supplies we're still lacking. Let's make up for it together tomorrow. I don't know if my dad believed it or not. But it doesn't matter. In this family, my dad's only right is to fart freely. He doesn't have the right to speak. I laughed and then cried. It's really great to be reborn, the whole family is together and intact. Suddenly, I was pulled into a warm embrace. I said, can you, this plan B, have some self-awareness? Don't get fresh with me, you're a burden, and you won't have a share in my fortress. Ahem, Miss Mia, allow me to remind you, I just contributed all my wealth yesterday. Isn't it okay to give me a hug? I was speechless for a moment. River stroked my head and gently rubbed it. Somehow, it felt really comfortable, and I couldn't help but rub against his palm. Miss Mia is so enthusiastic. Can you give me a hug too? No. Why? Those who take something from others have to do as they're told. Maybe being with Vincent these days has made me extremely exhausted both physically and mentally. Suddenly arriving in a safe environment and completely relaxing. My immune system also went on strike. That night, I had a high fever. How high was the fever? My mom told me that I was talking nonsense at night and insisting that I was a smartphone. I lifted up my clothes and asked River to unlock me. Then what happened next? My mom gave me a glare and said helplessly, then he pressed a few times on your belly, and you said the password was wrong, and then you froze. Why do I suddenly want to say goodbye to this world? Speak of the devil. And the devil appears. River walked in and asked me if I felt better. I nodded randomly, looking at the medicine dripping drop by drop from the infusion tube. I silently counted. 1 drop. Why hasn't it gone yet? 2 drops. Why are you looking at me? 3 drops. What are you laughing at? At this time, my mom left without understanding my feelings at all. I reached out to grab the hem of her clothes but missed. River took the opportunity to hold my hand and asked me why I wasn't looking at him. I said I was looking, but I was looking at him sideways. Oh, when did you develop this problem? I said it was yesterday. It was probably a sequela of the fever. Then I'll treat you. He turned my head and rubbed his lips against mine. His handsome face was getting closer in front of my eyes. It took me several seconds to remember to resist. Damn it, he's really a seductive fox. Looking at his body gradually pressing against mine, I used my hands and feet to push against his chest. But the posture became even more ambiguous. There was something hard pressing against my stomach and swelling. Oh no, River, you're a rascal. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly, and he smiled like a real rascal. River, here, I'm here. Dad, River is here. My dad's voice outside the door was getting closer. River clicked his tongue and said it was a pity. He got up reluctantly and didn't forget to give me a kiss on the forehead before leaving. You scoundrel. I knew it. His former appearance of being upright was all just an act. 15. On my phone, there were over 99 unread messages on Instagram, SMS, and missed calls. It seems that someone misses me a lot. I happily opened the home monitor. I spent several nights secretly connecting it bit by bit, all for this moment. I hope Vincent is ready because my game is officially starting. Through the playback function, I saw the lively scene at home yesterday. As soon as I left yesterday, the alert Vincent went to check the supplies stored in the next room at the first moment. Unfortunately, I had already removed the battery from the fingerprint lock. I had no choice. It was too late to change the password at that time. Those idiots tried the password several times but got no response. Then they kicked and punched the door furiously, trying to break in. But how could that newly installed thickened anti-theft door be so easily pried open by him? So that old hag thought of me again and sent me an Instagram message, scolding me crazily. The general meaning of her message was, tell her the password now and then come back immediately to kneel and beg for mercy. Otherwise, my marriage with Vincent will be completely off. And there will be no room for maneuver at all. Seriously, that old hag is still dreaming that I'll go and be her servant. This way of thinking, she really is who she is. Just as the family was at a loss, new guests arrived at home, the big brothers from the loan business, with flower tattoos on their arms, short hair, and big gold chains around their necks, and with broad backs and thick waists, came to take over the house. They held the property certificate and compared the address. Whether there was anyone in the house or not, they entered and started the inspection. The old lady was like an old sow protecting her food. She spread her arms and rushed in front of the big brother, pointing at his nose and scolding, "Where did you stinky rascals come from? What are you doing in my house? Your house. Are you Mia? I'm not Mia, but this is still my house. She's my daughter-in-law, and what's hers is mine. What do you know? Our Yellow Banner clan has been since ancient times. Old lady, the Qing dynasty has been gone for many years. Don't act like the Empress Dowager here. Get lost." The big brothers looked at each other and then burst into laughter. in the corner of the camera. Vincent banged his head twice. He probably finally realized that he had been tricked by me again. At least Vincent has studied for 2 more years than them and knows a bit more. He directly analyzed from a legal perspective that the house is jointly owned property of the husband and wife. And Mia has no right to sell it privately on her own. Unfortunately, the big brothers are not stupid either. Of course, they checked that I was single before the mortgage. Saying that it's jointly owned property of the husband and wife is just nonsense. This time, they were not polite and directly taught Vincent a lesson with punches and kicks, making him submissive. The two sides wrangled for several rounds. In the end, Vincent managed to buy 3 days to find a new house and move out at the price of 20,000 yuan. The zombie outbreak will occur in 3 days. Even if they want to take over the house, they have to be alive to go out. Vincent let out a long sigh of relief. He probably thought it was all over, right? Unexpectedly, another group of people came right after. They were also big brothers with flower tattoos on their arms who came to take over the house with the property certificate. This group of big brothers had a bad temper. When they saw someone in the house, they directly threw them out. The old hag threatened to call the police. Go ahead and call. Who's afraid of whom? They were not afraid at all. The mortgage contract and the property certificate were all in order. To put it bluntly, Vincent's family was now trespassing on private property. In the end, Vincent kept calling them big brothers, lighting cigarettes for them and bowing to them. He also spent another 20,000 yuan to settle the matter. Vincent looked so servile that it made me laugh until my stomach hurt. I wonder how many 20,000 yuan amounts Vincent still has. When the third group of big brothers came, Vincent finally learned his lesson and directly told them to find the people from the previous 2 groups and let them figure out who the house was actually mortgaged to first. When the elevator door opened again, the people in Vincent's family completely collapsed. They picked up tables, chairs, and benches and were about to start a fight. As a result, the locksmith was so scared that he sat on the ground directly. 16. The locksmith was still professional. Soon, Vincent in the camera visibly relaxed a bit. The supplies were all still there, but the next second, he touched the box and immediately realized that something was wrong. He punched the box, and it flew into the air. And then it rolled over several times. When it landed, there were roars, curses, and curses. At this moment, Vincent's despair was the greatest recognition of me. It wasn't in vain that I've been busy for so many days. Vincent, are you satisfied with the air I stocked up for you? The rice bags were full, though. We can't be too extreme. Inside were sand mixed with dog food, with a ratio of 1 to 100. I had no choice. I had to control the cost. The zombie outbreak was imminent, but they had no food at all in their hands. Vincent finally showed his true colors and forced the whole family to borrow money. Those 2 old hags wanted to make a fuss, but they each got a slap in the face and immediately became obedient and did as they were told. As for Shirley, she was no exception. Vincent said that either she took out 200,000 yuan or he would take out her kidney to exchange for money. Men, true love. The family no longer had the harmonious atmosphere they had when they dismembered me in my previous life. They were all angry, anxious, scared, and irritable. That's right. This is what the end of the world should be like. Vincent was able to adjust his mindset so quickly. Thinking about it, it's not hard to understand. Having experienced the end of the world and having killed people, his psychological quality must be extremely strong. But I think it's better this way. What's the point of an opponent who's too easy to defeat? In my previous life, they cut me piece by piece with a knife. In this life, I will naturally return the favor piece by piece. My dad called the whole family together for an emergency meeting to analyze and replenish the currently lacking supplies. I confidently patted my chest in front of my parents and said that we didn't lack anything. The supplies I've stocked up on not only integrated the experience from my previous life but also included the survival lists of online doomsday enthusiasts. There's no way we're lacking anything. You bought light bulbs, but did you buy the wires? You bought nails, but did you buy a hammer? Dad, I was wrong. Finally, my dad assigned the procurement tasks. River was in charge of hardware, my dad was in charge of sundries, and my mom was preparing medical supplies. As for me, the whole family unanimously thought that if I could just avoid causing trouble, it would be a great help. River and my dad went out with money. As for my mom, she was simply trying to get something for nothing. Hey, that's right, our hospital is going to build a laboratory. That's right, I'll transfer the money to you in 7 days. As I was picking vegetables, I sighed. The old saying is really right. It's so hard to learn good things, but it only takes a moment to learn bad things. I was in charge of cooking dinner. The menu was very rich. There was the braised pork that my dad liked, the phoenix-tailed shrimp balls that my mom liked, the tomato and egg soup that I liked, and the stir-fried potatoes, eggplants, and peppers that River liked. I cooked a big pot of fragrant rice. The whole family sat around the dining table, enjoying a happy time together. River picked up his bowl and took a mouthful of the stir-fried potatoes, eggplants, and peppers. His expression was so cocky, it was as if he was saying, "I knew you didn't forget me." I gave him a glare and said calmly, "The eggplants are going bad, they can't be stored for long. Everyone, eat quickly, we'll have braised eggplants tomorrow." River's face visibly fell. Hee, it's so satisfying. 17. Vincent's family somehow managed to deceive others and get the money, and they prepared supplies overnight. I nestled on the lazy sofa in front of the French window, happily watching their family sweating like dogs as they worked hard. It was getting late at night. River walked out of the villa looking dejected. He picked up his phone and then put it down again. I didn't know if he was going to make a call or answer one. I followed him on a whim. "Hello, Hannah." I knew it. I stopped in my tracks and turned around, but River pulled me into his arms. "Mia, don't leave. There's nothing between her and me that you can't hear." "I know, but I don't want to hear it." River's arms were like an iron hoop, holding me tightly and not letting me kick or hit him. "Mia is also there. Didn't you two break up? It's not appropriate for a man and a woman to be together so late at night." "River, ugh." River's face also turned bad. "Hannah, I've told you many times, please call me Officer River." Okay, Officer River, why are you so fierce today? Are you coming over today? Jerry has been asking for his dad again today. Hee. It seems that the family of 3 is getting along quite harmoniously. Hannah, I won't go there anymore in the future. River, what do you mean? It doesn't mean anything. My life was saved by Michael, and I will never forget his kindness to me. In the past 2 years, I have done my best to compensate you both financially and mentally. I believe that you and Jerry have already adapted to the days without Michael during this time. In the future, find a real father for Jerry. There will be an epidemic in a few days. Stock up on more meat, eggs, and vegetables. Goodbye." After hanging up the phone, River freed his right hand and held me even tighter this time. His smell, his body temperature, his helpless sigh, all locked me in. "Mia, there's really nothing between her and me." "I know, then can we?" "No." "Why, Mia?" River righted my body and stared at me with shattered eyes. Suddenly, I felt so exhausted, because I don't want a man who will be called away by another woman late at night. This isn't something that can be solved by just you saying there's nothing between you two. It's been a year. And the old wound in my heart has been reopened by others. It hurts. It really hurts. What on earth do I have to do for you to forgive me? Let go of me, and I'll tell you." I rubbed my sore arm and looked at River, who was waiting for the answer with a sincere expression. I told him directly, "I'll forgive you when Flora can produce milk." "Mia, Flora is male." "Ah, male? No wonder my dad tried to say something several times when we bought the cow." "Anyway, don't be so pessimistic. Maybe there will be a miracle." 18. This night was destined to be a sleepless one. Since I couldn't fall asleep, I turned on the monitor again. The atmosphere in Vincent's family was very tense, due to the continuous unloading of goods during the day. The arms and legs of those 2 old people were so tired that they were twitching. Now they would complain twice with every step they took. The scheming woman, assuming here refers to a person with that kind of character, seemed very attentive when serving tea and water, but the old lady wouldn't let her be lazy. She directly gave her 2 slaps, and then she started to carry the supplies obediently. Vincent watched all this coldly, neither stopping it nor offering any help. He was calm and indifferent. I somehow felt a chill creeping towards me through the screen. Suddenly, he took out his phone and sent a message. Ding, my Instagram rang. And I was startled. There was a short line of words on it. "How does it feel to be skinned and have your bones scraped off while still alive?" He knew everything. On the monitor screen, Vincent's face suddenly enlarged. His bloodshot eyes revealed all his intention to kill. The next moment, the surveillance of the corridor was cut off, and only snowflakes were left on the screen. I was scared into a cold sweat. Was I afraid? No. Vincent was still the Vincent from my previous life. Selfish and ruthless, but I was no longer the me from my previous life. My hands no longer trembled, and I heavily typed out a few words. Very good, so in this life, I'm going to make you taste it too. 19. Vincent's counterattack came faster than I expected. That night, I received a call from the police station. We received a report from Vincent. Mia, you are now suspected of fraud. Please repay the money immediately and come to the station to cooperate with the investigation. Our address is Left Door, 6th floor, Unit 3, Building X, Community X. In my life, this was the first time I heard that a police station was located on the 6th floor. In general situations like this, I would directly shout, "Dad, someone is blackmailing me." I don't know how my dad talked to them, but in the end, that person called my dad, granduncle, and promised that he would beat Vincent up as soon as he got back. My dad directly refused. No, absolutely not. A beating is not enough. This scolding that lasted for more than 5 minutes finally ended with Vincent shooting himself in the foot. On September 14, 2203, the last day before the zombie outbreak, my dad and River went out to do a final check and make up for any shortages of supplies. My mom sorted out the newly arrived medical supplies. As for me, considering my 18 years of painting skills, my dad asked me to paint the house, saying that the white color was too obvious. All right, it can be considered related to my major. My dad and the others came back very late that day, and the things they brought back really left me dumbfounded. There were all kinds of cold weapons, and there were even 2 guns. My eyes lit up when I saw the guns. I had always wanted to be a policewoman when I was a child. And now my enthusiasm was instantly ignited. As soon as I reached out to touch them, my dad slapped my hand away. "This is not for children to play with. Go and stay aside." I really want to throw my ID card in his face. "You gave birth to me. Don't you know how old I am?" Mom, look at my dad. My mom just smiled and shook her head, ignoring me. River was being attentive, though. He took my reddened hand from the slap and blew on it. Then he whispered in my ear, "I have one, really?" River's peach blossom eyes curved into a smile. He leaned in towards me. I dodged, but he chased after me and kissed my earlobe. "Really? Come to my room tonight, and you can touch it as you like." The corners of his eyes were filled with a charming smile, full of affection. Obviously, he was the one being improper, but he blushed first. Finally, he even asked me, "You didn't misunderstand what I meant, did you?" Of course not. Are you kidding me? I'm such a proper person, but I did. After a year apart, River's skills had improved a lot. This was the real master, seducing people without batting an eyelid. I'd better go play with the dog. The dog is simple. My dad also brought back 2 police dogs. He said that in the future, the security of the island would mainly rely on the dogs. The black one is called Snowy, and the white one is called Blackie. I named them, at 1 a.m. on September 15, 2203, zombie videos started to spread on major video platforms one after another. Although they would be deleted soon, there were more and more people posting such videos. Looking at the surprise in my parents' eyes, I knew that at this moment, they truly believed my story. It's so nice to have the whole family together in this life. Just as I was sighing with emotion, River wanted to drag me to his room to touch the gun. "Go to hell. I think you should just go wash up and go to bed." I shook off his hand and turned back to my room. River hugged me from behind and asked tentatively, "What do I have to do for you to look back at me? I'm really annoyed by this dog man. Didn't I say yesterday that I'll forgive you when Flora has milk for me to drink? Really? 20. By the time I heard the engine start, it was already too late. River drove the pickup truck and disappeared into the night. There were zombies outside. Where was he going at this time? I called him, but he didn't answer. I sent him an Instagram message, but he didn't reply either. "You scoundrel, you don't listen when you should." I'm so angry. My dad came out wearing a coat and asked me what was going on. Why did River leave? Did I bully him again? My mom also said that River was such a good kid. I forced myself to tell them about Flora. My dad was so angry that he clenched his fists. He wanted to hit me but couldn't bear to. Instead, he turned around and punched the dog's head twice. My mom sat aside and sighed, saying that I was being difficult. Was I wrong? Was I really wrong? But I just didn't want to forgive him. Was that also a mistake? My dad lit a cigarette. He had quit smoking since he retired. "Actually, it was my idea to make River break up with you, Dad." "What do you mean? I was the one who dumped him back then." My dad said that he had been holding this secret for a year. River's parents died at the hands of the drug lord codenamed Brother Chang back then, and he had been at large for all these years. It was only last year that there was finally some clue about the whereabouts of Brother Chang. River took the initiative to ask to participate in the undercover work. My dad knew that it was useless to oppose him, so he put forward a request to him, break up with Mia. River agreed without thinking. I still didn't understand. The reason I broke up with River was because of Hannah's interference. I saw with my own eyes River's preference for her and his kindness to her. How could it be because of my dad? He liked River as a son-in-law so much. How could he be willing to let them break up? Dad, you're lying to me, right? Those misunderstandings were all on purpose by River. He deliberately made you hate him, deliberately made you angry, and made you break up with him because he couldn't bear to. He said that if he didn't come back, he would rather you hate him than miss him. Dad, why did you hide this from me? Why? My heart, my internal organs. It felt like they were being twisted with a knife. Dear daughter, because I'm a father, as a police officer, I can sacrifice my small family for the greater good, but as a father, I can't gamble with your happiness. I'm afraid, I'm so afraid, dear daughter. My dad was a big and strong man, but when he said he was afraid, he was so helpless that even his hands were shaking. Was my dad wrong? No. Was River wrong? No. Then was I wrong? Maybe not either. I don't know when I started crying. As I cried, I started laughing again. Isn't it ridiculous? When River and I broke up a year ago, I seemed fine on the surface, only I knew how crazy I was in private. In the silent nights, I roared like a wild beast, was irritable, and even hurt myself. My love was in a mess, but in the end, it turned out that no one was at fault. Then who should I blame? River. River, please come back and tell me. Okay, please, please. 21. This night was destined to be a sleepless one. The mainstream media issued an emergency notice. There is a major epidemic. Please citizens stay at home and quarantine immediately. In the news, several incidents of zombies attacking and eating humans were announced. The footage on the official website was much clearer than that on the video platforms. Those zombies had pale faces, twisted limbs. Some of them had their internal organs hollowed out, but they were still slowly moving forward and biting humans. My parents held each other's hands tightly in front of the TV, wordlessly expressing their shock, fear, and worry. I held my phone and kept swiping through the videos. I was looking for River, yet I was also afraid of seeing River. The sky turned from white to black, and my eyes were so sore that it hurt. I couldn't eat or sleep. Just when I was about to collapse, I finally heard that familiar engine sound. I seized the opportunity and lowered the drawbridge. River gave me a bright smile and stepped on the gas, driving onto Taoyuan Island. He let out a cow that was obviously carsick from the carriage. Flora doesn't have milk, but its wife can have it. He smiled proudly and arrogantly, with the bloodstains on him. It somehow didn't seem out of place. My eyes welled up with tears. Out of anger, I directly started to tear at his clothes and pants, checking inch by inch if he was injured. My parents had already left tactfully. River looked around and protected his last pair of underwear with both hands, suggesting to me, "You can check this part in the room later. I'm really injured there." Under my extremely worried gaze, he took my hand and placed it on an indescribable place. "You rascal." I was so angry that I wanted to give him a shoulder throw and never talk to him again. I was worried about him all day. What was going on in his dog brain? I hated him so much that my teeth were itching. Having nowhere to vent my anger, I targeted Vincent again. Didn't he stack the supplies overnight yesterday? Today, I'll let them taste the feeling of working hard for others. I generously announced in the community group that my home had supplies and that we could share them with everyone at any time. The address was room 1808, Unit X, Building X. Then I immediately informed Vincent that there would be guests at home later. No one is stupid. With a little thought, Vincent understood what was going on. His whole family scolded me as a bitch. I have to say that after being reborn, the people in Vincent's family have given me a sense of accomplishment from their scolding. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes for the neighbors in this building to go upstairs by elevator. They happened to run into the people in Vincent's family who were transferring the supplies. When the neighbors saw the piles of supplies, they thought they were prepared for them and thanked Vincent's family profusely. Vincent stopped the old lady's impulse to scold with a dark face. He calmly took out his phone and took a photo with the neighbors and the supplies. Soon, I saw Vincent in the community group. He posted the photos of the donated supplies and said that there were no more extra supplies and asked everyone to wait patiently for the government's rescue. None left. Are you sure there's none left? Then what are those piled up in room 1809? After saying that, I exited the property owners group, looking at Vincent in the video who was so angry that he wanted to throw his phone. My happiness for the day increased by 1 dash. After coming back that day, River slept soundly, after waking up. His stubborn mind seemed to have, and he actually started to pursue me. He would put some small gifts at my door every day. Sometimes it was a wildflower, sometimes a box of heart-shaped chocolates, sometimes a big gold chain, sometimes a small watch. This is just outrageous. Did he go to look for the cow? It was clearly like he went on a free shopping spree, dash, after the zombie disaster occurred. The government tried its best to maintain the basic supply of electricity, water, and the internet. Although it was intermittent, it at least gave people hope. Later, several groups of hungry neighbors went to the 18th floor to demand supplies. They were arrogant in their attitude, and Vincent was even more rude. He directly greeted them with knives, guns, axes, and swords, the reputation of the 18th floor being a fierce place spread, but at the same time, it also confirmed that there were indeed supplies on the 18th floor. As time went by, the supplies became more and more scarce. The people who were trying to rob the supplies used a fatigue tactic and attacked the 18th floor in turns. They even cut off the electricity and water supply to the 18th floor. There were flies all around the refrigerator, and the food inside should have already spoiled. The people in Vincent's family took turns standing guard and were in a state of high nervousness. I kindly wanted to let them relax a bit. I sent back photos of myself drinking juice and enjoying a sunbath on the island to the family group of Vincent's family. When Shirley saw them, she was so angry that she directly kicked me out of the group chat. The old lady directly slapped her and then pulled me back in. She even made a video call to me. She knew how to be flexible. Right in front of Shirley, she praised me for my fair skin, beautiful face, long legs, and said I was gentle, elegant, and full of temperament. Then she tried to hint at where I was and whether I could pick them up and take them there. Of course, the old lady said that she wouldn't take advantage of me for nothing. She said that she had some private savings. She would give all of it to me at that time. She also hinted that she would make up the betrothal gift and give it to me together. In the apocalypse, money is not as useful as toilet paper. I just smiled and didn't say anything. Vincent beside me exploded. It was so difficult to buy supplies and borrow money before, but his mother actually still had some hidden savings. The old lady pushed Vincent away. After being tossed around for a few days, her eye sockets were sunken and she didn't look in good spirits. At this moment, there was only me in her eyes, this good daughter-in-law, who could save her from the sea of bitterness. I couldn't bear to let the old lady down, so I kindly told her the address, Hope Villa in Beicheng New District. The old lady happily packed her things and asked me to pick her up. I showed a bit of hesitation and said that I was in a bad mood and wanted to watch someone being beaten, literally, watch dog beating. Here it's a metaphor for watching someone being punished. The old lady reacted slowly for a while, and then with a ferocious expression, she went to beat Shirley. Shirley was crying out in pain and rushed out of Vincent's family first. The old lady and the old man followed closely behind and chased after her. Vincent's family was completely in chaos. Vincent picked up the phone, smiled at me, and said gently, Mia, you won't succeed. You will still be a loser in this life. The scene changed, and his camera was unexpectedly pointed at the office computer in my home. On the screen of the computer, there was exactly the promotional poster of the island. Mia, if you hadn't mentioned Beicheng New District just now, I wouldn't have been so sure. You deliberately led us in the opposite direction of where you are, right? Humph, you think you're clever. The call ended, and I quickly went to check the camera at home. Vincent was crazy. He opened the door and loudly invited those neighbors in to eat meat. He shared out all the rotten food in the house. Then he stood on the writing desk and shouted passionately, Those who want to eat meat tomorrow, follow me. A group of people cheered and left in a mighty procession. The 18th floor was empty. Vincent left and never came back. However, the two elders of Vincent's family dragged back Shirley, who was covered in blood. They were beaming with joy and shouting, fresh meat, dash. I felt as if I had gone through a fierce hand-to-hand fight. I was completely drained of strength as I turned off the camera. There was no need to look anymore. They were no longer human, dash. I still have one final battle left for my revenge, dash, whether Vincent can finally reach my Taoyuan island or not. As the host, I have to prepare a big gift for him. I didn't hide it and told my family about this matter. My dad and River were eager to have a go. They had always wanted to avenge me for what happened in my previous life, but I didn't want to give them this opportunity. After being appointed by my mom, I suddenly became the general commander of Taoyuan Island. Now everyone here, from my dad to the dogs, has to listen to me. The first task arrangement is as follows. The chickens should lay eggs when it's time, and those who need to take care of the chicks should do so. Flora and its wife Jack should hurry up and have calves. Snowy and Blackie should strengthen the border defense work on both sides of the island. My dad will guard the house, and River will go with me to the park area to collect supplies. Since we reunited, this is the first time I've been alone with River for such a long time. River was like a dog, coming over to sniff here and touch there. It was as if I was a new and interesting toy. I had been thinking about Vincent all the way, and I was really annoyed. Now, with one hand driving and the other hand hitting River, I was so busy that I didn't have time to be worried anymore. We walked around the park area. We closed the gate of the park and repaired the damaged walls in the park. At the same time, we checked the preservation of supplies in some supermarkets and stores in the park. River and I unanimously decided not to touch these supplies for now. If one day, other humans come to the park, I hope these supplies will be helpful to them. Our operation this time wasn't very smooth. Several times, I almost got sneak attacked by zombies, and it was all thanks to River's excellent marksmanship. River said, in ancient times, I should promise to marry him in return. I never realized that River was so talkative before. I didn't mind reminding him that it was the 23rd century now. Finally, this task was successfully completed. I collected a whole truckload of the goods I wanted. Since Vincent walked out of the 18th floor that day, he started to report to me every day. He would send me a short video every place he went to. The content was all about him leading a group of mobs, burning, killing, looting everywhere, and not sparing the old, the weak, women, and children, the neighbors who used to be kind-hearted now, while wearing human skins, were doing evil deeds like demons. The once thin and shy college students were beating up the elderly, and the formerly gentle and scholarly university professors were abusing underage girls. Did the apocalypse change people's hearts? I don't think so. The apocalypse exposed people's true nature. There were cries, wails, and corpses all over the ground. Vincent showed off their achievements to me every day. He was getting closer to me little by little, and my heart, which wanted to tear him to pieces, also started to boil slowly. In my previous life, he tortured me by stripping my tendons and scraping my bones. In this life, I want him to be completely annihilated. One day half a month later, Blackie and Snowy suddenly became restless. My mom was worried and got angry at my dad, which made my dad speak in a bad tone when he answered the phone. Sure enough, it was Vincent on the phone. A group of them were standing by the shore, frolicking. I slowly walked onto the drawbridge that was half lowered. That group of beasts started to be eager to jump into the water, but Vincent stopped them with a wave of his hand. Hey, let me introduce to everyone. This is my fiancée, Mia. The boss never keeps women to himself. The boss belongs to us. Ha 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 ha. Vincent also laughed along with them and even said that I was so considerate to know to lower the drawbridge and wait for him. Yes, otherwise, if you were farther away, I wouldn't be able to see clearly how this group of beasts die. Stop pretending. I've already sent people to survey the terrain. All your lousy traps have already been cleared. I think it's better for you to give up and surrender. Don't worry, in the future, apart from serving a few more people, I won't make you suffer. Ha ha ha, is that so? But you don't have a chance anymore. I lifted up the grass rope hidden in the water. The cargo box on the shore opened suddenly. A large number of zombies, smelling the scent of living people, rushed out one after another. Before those beasts could jump into the water, River, who was hiding on the carriage, quickly threw down 2 large nets, trapping those beasts and the zombies together. There were wails, blood, and pleas for mercy. These were all things that they had done to others before. Did they show any mercy? I watched with my own eyes as Vincent was pushed down and then had his leg broken in the chaos. He looked at me fiercely and was about to say something when a zombie gouged out his eyeball. The words he wanted to say were swallowed by the zombie. It is said that people who only want revenge won't truly feel happy at the moment of real revenge, but I think that's complete nonsense. I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be happy? In this new life, I've made myself into their retribution. This is the true meaning of the cycle of karma. The days became peaceful again. River and I naturally got together. I let go of the grudges from my previous life and also let go of the past between River and me. I didn't see him as my ex-boyfriend who I had been in love with for 10 years. In the apocalypse, we are all new versions of ourselves, and we also have a brand new future.